Field Studio. This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Good morning, everyone, and happy hump day from the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grims is here. Dan McLaughlin is here. Matthew Rocchio is here. I'm Randy Carricker, and it is great to have you with us on a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning in St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, it is beautiful outside, Randy, but...
A 12:15 game today for the Cards. I'm going.
Yeah.
I think tickets are going to be available if you want to head on down to the ballpark today. And at 12:15 today, kids, it is going to be a glorious 65 degrees. During the game, it'll get up to 69, 70 degrees.
Where are you sitting? Do you know your seats?
In the seats, yeah. I don't know where.
Okay, I figured it was in the seats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the sunshine. It's going to be in the sunshine, I guarantee you that.
It depends on what side you're on and what time of day to make sure that you get the sunshine that you want.
Dan, I think I'll be able to move around and find seats that suit me.
Probably.
If last night was any indication, I'll be able just to move around.
Didn't they say that it was 30,000? But then that's tickets sold.
Yeah, tickets sold.
Tickets sold.
How many do you think were in the stands?
Well, by the end of the game, not many.
No, it was
14-1 the final, and
they lost 14-1.
Not one of the best outings by the Birds last night.
I pointed out that during the Arians Fisher days, there were a lot of occasions in which St. Louis trailed Arizona by 13 late.
True.
That's true.
Especially in the Kurt Warner days when Kurt was part of Arizona.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It happened. It was. It was not great. The Cardinals, usually when they score first, they're pretty good. But they did score first.
Not yesterday.
They get a home run in the bottom of the first, and then all of a sudden it's 4-1 after 3. And then the Cardinals allowed 6 in the 5th, and it was kind of over by then. Based on the Cardinal offense this season, you think they're probably not coming back from a 10-1 deficit, and they did not, and they lost 14-1.
No, and the biggest story here is that you had Steven Matz and Zach Thompson each allowing 7 runs, and that was a big part of it right there. So even though you didn't have things going offensively, Steven Matz getting banged around was not ideal in that situation.
Brooke, you had 2 pitchers allow 7 runs each? Two separate pitchers allow 7 runs each? That's pretty amazing. I wonder if that's ever happened before.
It has happened before. Randy, I sent you the stat last night. Would you like to share it?
Yeah, so the last time this happened, I think, was 07. Yeah, it was 07, the year after the Cardinals won the World Series. The year that they did not have Chris Carpenter. And there was a game, let me get to the statistic here. There was a game in which the Cardinals had 2 pitchers, both allow 7 runs. Dan, one of those was Mike Maroth. Remember him?
Oh, do I ever?
Yeah.
He came over from Detroit, I believe.
He might be still the last guy to lose 20 games. Last time before last night, this is from Jeff Jones of the Belleville News-Democrat. Last time before last night, the Cardinals had 2 pitchers allow at least 7 earned runs in the same game. Braden Looper and Mike Maroth in Pittsburgh on August 1st, 2007.
Actually, remember that game, and basically what they did was they said, we're out of it, and we're going to have somebody just wear it. And that's what happened last night with Zach Thompson. Unfortunately for him, I'm not sure what's happened to him, because the velocity is way down. His breaking stuff is not nearly as sharp. And I don't know if it's a question of whether or not he has been swinging from the bullpen to the starting rotation and gone back and forth. But clearly he is not as effective as he has been in the past and was not effective last night.
I have a scary and alarming thought about what might have happened to him. He's a young Cardinal pitcher. What young Cardinal pitcher does this not happen to?
I would say that they have developed well. I think
they get it to the majors.
They get it to the majors, and then once they get to the majors, there's been some trades. That's not necessarily on the Cardinals. I know we're going to dive into this, but, it's about evaluating the talent once you get to the major leagues.
Not only evaluating, but nurturing and developing and getting guys to be better. Why is it the last year when Matthew Liberatore was going down to Memphis, he was throwing 96, 97, he'd come up here and he's 92, 93? Why is Zach Thompson effective when he gets right back here from the minors, and then all of a sudden he falls off? Why does this happen on such a consistent basis? Why were the Cardinals not able, not that Johan Oviedo is going to win any Cy Youngs, but why did Pittsburgh get out of Johan Oviedo last year what the Cardinals couldn't the year before? I just don't understand why the Cardinals aren't able to get young pitchers to advance at the major league level.
It's starting to be an alarming trend, but going back to Steven Matz, that's another concerning trend because in his last 3 starts, he's given up 16 runs, 13 earned on 21 hits in 14 innings. And here's Ollie Marmol after the game about what he had to say about Steven Matt's outing.
I actually thought it was one of his better outings, to be quite honest with you. The line doesn't show that, but from a pitch standpoint, Vila was there, walking the 9-hole in that inning that kind of led to some runs. Wasn't ideal, but Walker took a good swing off of him. But for the most part, I thought he actually did a pretty decent job. Didn't go our way.
I think what he's referring to is the first inning. In the first inning, he hit 96. He was sitting around 95, but then after that, the wheels came off. 71 pitches through 3 innings. Not ideal. He gave up 4 runs, but the first inning, that's my assumption, is what Ollie's trying to say. And if you're waking up and wanting him to throw him under the bus, it's just not going to happen. He's not going to wake up and throw his guy or say it after the game last night. He's not going to just throw his players under the bus. As much as a fan may want to hear that, it's just not going to happen.
But would it be throwing him under the bus if he would simply...
Now, there's a different way to couch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Not insult the intelligence of the people who watched and are fans of your game and say, he just didn't have it tonight.
Yeah, I would have gone that direction. And so I would have couched it differently and just said, hey, good first inning. Liked what I saw. After that, the wheels came off a little bit. We're going to have to get that rectified as we move forward.
Well, and also the other part of it where he said Walker took a good swing at him. Steven Matz left a changeup right over the heart of the plate, and that was just not good whatsoever. So I think that it's not the thing that people want to hear, of course. And no matter what he says, I think to your point, Dan, he's going to get crucified for it either way. But when you hear that he thought that it was a good outing and that it's more about process right now over results, I think that's the part that maybe is bothering Cardinals fans the most because people will understand that there's a process, but they also want a sense of urgency with what you're seeing right now. You had the greatest game that we've seen so far this season for the Cardinals. When you have that walk-off winner, everything was clicking. It felt like it wasn't 2023. And then you had a game like last night where they weren't able to carry over the momentum. By the way, the pitcher that they were facing did not have a good ERA going into that game. I believe it was like a 6.87 ERA going into the game. That was a huge opportunity for them to take advantage of him.
Brooke, young lefty that they hadn't seen before. Always.
Why is that a thing?
I don't know.
That's a problem.
But you know what? It's been that way forever. It was that way under Whitey.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but for the Cardinals, it's always been that way. I don't know why they can't get to these guys.
It wasn't just Matt's, which wasn't a good start, but the base running mistake, that was a problem early on. They had a defensive miscue, and the offense, again, non-existent. The bullpen was Zach Thompson, ineffective. You know, you look at Goldie and Wynn, they had strikeouts with 2 men on. That was a key spot in the game. You know, a lot of the focus has been on the big guys in the middle of the lineup, as it should be, but you need to get on in front of him. Brendan Donovan is struggling right now. He's 2 for his last 20, hitting just 205 on the season. So when you look at the offense, it's not where it needs to be, and Matz was not where he needed to be last night pitching. There's just no other way to put it.
And with Zach Thompson, too, would you be surprised if he gets sent down to the minors here soon?
I would not.
Probably not.
Because Palante's coming. Well, is Palante coming back? I don't know. The question would be what, and haven't even really thought or looked close enough at Memphis. I don't know if CD-ROM comes back. I don't know who you replace him with, but at some point they've got to make him right.
I agree. And at this point, he's not. And, you know, in terms of Palante, they sent him down to work on things. And it's only been, you know, since the weekend that he had to wear it for the bullpen and wear it for the pitching staff going into the future games that they had, the immediate games that they had. So, you know, Palante's working on some different things. He talked about that in the offseason. I'm not sure he'd be the right guy that you bring up right away.
By the way, it's our buddy Ken Daly is probably listening, who was a great Cardinal. I would argue that Ken Daly was the Cardinals' best player of the 25-man roster, best player in the 1985 playoffs. But when Ken Daly got traded here in 1984, started a game at Montreal, he faced 15 hitters. He allowed 7 hits and walked 3 of them. And Whitey Herzog simply said after the game, he didn't miss many bats.
Yep. and I think you can say it a little different than Ollie did last night. And he's going to get crucified for it, what he said. For sure. I mean, I'm going to go back to this. He's not going to throw his guy under the bus, but you can couch it a little bit differently.
Yeah, 14-1 was the final last night. Cardinals lose to the D-backs, and rubber game today. Brooke?
That's great. It's fantastic. By the way, you were asking for an update on CD-ROM, who
Yes.
is Drew Rom, by the way, because that's what you like to nickname him, is CD-ROM.
I like nicknames.
Things
No,
are still
you-
not working. Shocking, I know, Dan. It's
I'm
crazy.
telling you. Well, I had to think about it because I haven't been on the air with you guys when CD-ROM was pitching. So I was like, wait a minute, Ron and John Ron? Okay, got it.
You're
Had
like,
to
I'm
think
missing
about it.
somebody here. CD-ROM,
Yeah.
where did he come from? Things are still not going well for him currently. Jeff Jones of the Belleville News Democrat tweeted out recently that he was visiting another doctor as opposed to being on the move up, which that is something that is not ideal for this team right now.
No. So the Cardinals fall, and this is just, it's not pretty, and we're going to be... Remember when I used to go on the road with the Rams when they were terrible and they'd lose like 8 in a row, and Dan would be hosting back at KMOX in the studio, and Dan had always introduced me by saying, Randy, it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. So I'll do that right now. Randy, it wasn't pretty.
It was not. 14-1. Cardinals will try to get the rubber game today, and Jordan Montgomery is pitching on the mound at Busch Stadium for the Diamondbacks.
Think he got a little extra motivation today?
Thinking there might be some,
Yeah.
Yeah, Derek Gould of the Post-Dispatch has an article out right now where he talked to Jordan Montgomery, and he says he's excited to face his former team. That's terrifying because what is he going to go out and do today, guys, if you just had to guess?
Yeah. Shove.
Well, be motivated.
Yeah.
Motivated,
So,
yes.
Well, but let's be realistic here. These days, if you're a pitcher, you're excited to face the Cardinals, aren't you?
He was asked, by the way, Montgomery was asked about whether or not the Cardinals approached him in the offseason, and he declined to address that. He just said, I'm moving on. And if you look at Montgomery as compared to Snell, the two guys that signed late, Montgomery has outperformed him by leaps and bounds. He's had a good start right now for Arizona.
He has. NHL playoffs last night. Rangers over the Caps 4-3. Rangers lead that series 2-0. The Panthers get an overtime goal. There's Matthew Tkachuk in the crease at the end of the game when the winning goal is
Shocking,
scored.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I watched that game. Tampa Bay's goaltender was unbelievable in that game.
Vasilevsky.
I mean, it was incredible. He made one save where it was blind and went to his glove hand. He was all turned around. He was out of position. It was just an incredible hockey game, and Matthew Tkachuk right in the middle of things. No surprise there.
If we watched Ozzy with the backhand
That's a good
play,
way. Yeah.
that's exactly what Vasilevsky did. So the Lightning trail in that series to the Panthers 2-0. Avalanche over the Jets 5-2, so that series even at a game apiece. And the Predators knock off the Canucks 4-1. And that series is tied at 1 apiece. NBA playoffs, T-Wolves, man, the Suns. I don't know how they fix that situation. They're old, and they are not going to win in the playoffs with this group of players. T-Wolves lead the Suns 2-0 after winning 105-93 last night. Pacers even up their series with the Bucks at a game apiece, and the Mavericks win at LA over the Clippers. And that series is even at a game apiece as well. We're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. We're going to talk to Kyle Gibson later in the show. But next up, it is Wednesday. It is Hump Day. It is Ask Uncle Randy Day. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho!
Yo-ho.
There it is.
There it is.
Daniel, thank
Get
you,
it out of the way early.
Okay, here, don't leave me hanging. Here, we got to do a fist bump.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
My fault.
So we want you texts for Ask Uncle Randy. Next on 101 ESPN. Your next outdoor project in the St. Louis area needs to be completed by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. I love Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Love them. Got my backyard fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and it's fantastic. And they did such great work, and they're such nice people. They've been in St. Louis as a family-owned company for 56 years, and they're going to do great work for you on a fence or a deck, maybe a sunroom or a screen room. Maybe you just want to put up a pergola. Get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck by calling them at 800-300-4054 or find them on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. And one of two things can occur. You can either head out to their incredible facility in Chesterfield Valley and see the work that they do, or you can see what they do online at chesterfieldfence.com. They'll come out to your house, give you measurements, provide a free, no-obligation project design for what you might want done, and you're going to love it. And mention the opening drive, mention Randy, and get 20% off your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. Great warranties on everything that they have, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, it's a company that I work with, and you will love. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Uncle Randy, let him dive into his infinite well filled with wisdom to find you answers. Text 314-399-9646. It's Ask Uncle Randy on 101 ESPN.
All right, here we are. We're headed into the summer. In a couple of weeks, it'll be May. Next week, it'll be May, kids. It's April 24th today. So warm weather, young romance is in the air, golf is in the air, trips are in the air, summertime is in the air. And if you would like to get a little direction, a little guidance in your life, ask Uncle Randy right now. You can text 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo!
Yes, Matthew, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, your JT impression needs a little work.
Justin Timberlake?
Yeah.
What'd they do?
I mean, you just said it's going to be May. I mean,
It's
like,
gonna be
you just,
May.
yeah, see,
No, it's
you
not.
just need to work
It's
on it a
gonna
little
be
bit.
May.
That's better. See, we're working
Yeah.
on it.
All right.
Thank you, Brooke,
Gotcha.
by the way,
Okay.
You're
for
welcome.
catching
Thank you.
on to that one.
Yeah, thanks for
90s kids over here.
Yeah, thanks for the help. I do greatly appreciate it.
It was one of my first concerts. I remember every moment.
Oh, God, that must have
and
been
then
awesome.
Cisco was the opener. Remember Cisco?
What was the song?
Cisco.
What was the
Thong
one
song?
Cisco song?
The thong song.
Thong song. There you go.
Great way to open for
Were
a
there,
concert. For
a lot of screaming young ladies at the Justin Timberlake concert.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was back in the NSYNC days.
Okay, yeah.
So, yes. And I was one of them.
I bet. All right, what do we got, big boy?
Dear Uncle Randy, I'm getting married in October, and my fiance wants to go to Disneyland for our honeymoon, but I would like to go in an all-inclusive resort of some kind. How do we compromise on this?
Well, because you're getting married quickly, there's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. Number one, October is a great time for Disneyland. And Disneyland is what it said, right? Mm-hmm. So you can do SoCal, and Disneyland is basically a one-day thing. And then do some other SoCal things. And then maybe your one-year anniversary trip, you can do the all-inclusive. Play the long game here. And
The long game.
The long game is a good game to play. And make her happy by doing the Disneyland thing. You're not going to do Disneyland for more than a day until you have kids. So my suggestion would be, and I think it's a great play, is to do Disneyland and then take advantage of Southern California. You can head over, maybe go down to San Diego, do La Jolla, go up and see some of the sites in L.A., and check out Southern California. And then the next year, first anniversary, for her first anniversary present, it's an all-inclusive.
I think that's a great idea, Randy. Happy wife, happy life.
Yep.
That is the key there. There is some compromising there. As you mentioned, you can do some other things. I've never been to Disneyland before. I've been to Disney World, so I don't know exactly what the difference is.
Disney World is much bigger because Disneyland is kind of landlocked. They can't expand. Disney World, they can just keep growing and growing and growing. Disneyland it's much more finite. Maybe if you go, you could definitely go see. We'll have to wait. You might be able to set this up so you can go see the Blues and the Ducks in October.
Here's the big difference between Disneyland and Disney World. If you want to, like, the scope, Disneyland.
Give me the scope, Rocc.
Disneyland can fit into the corner of one of Disney World's parking lots.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
yeah. Right.
wow. That is a major
that's
difference.
The scope.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I took my kids there, and it wasn't so much about watching the other kids. They were loving it. My kids loved it. I loved it, but the other parents looked miserable.
Yeah, I think you have to go in with you have to go in with the mindset that you're going to enjoy it. You can't go in with you cannot go in thinking, oh, this is going to be miserable, because then you're going to be miserable.
Exactly.
You have to go into it with childlike wonder.
I remember going to Disney World when I was younger, and my dad had a blast, but that's because we both like to eat a lot of food, and so we went to Epcot, and we had food at every single stop. And I just Googled this because I wanted to see, Disneyland does have all-inclusive deals, so maybe there's a little bit of compromise.
Is Disney food cheap? I seem to recall the food at Disney being relatively reasonable. Maybe BK can text us.
Maybe
BK
a long time ago.
BK and his bride do Disney, or Joey V. Somebody text us and tell us if food at Disney is reasonable.
I think it might have used to.
The thing about Disney that'll never stop. And I went there like 15 years ago. This might have changed. Is that they had carts around the park that had hot dogs and McDonald's fries.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
And I just love that they were like, let's just take the one thing you guys do well, and we're just going to put it everywhere.
It's like kids' fun on steroids.
It is.
So, and it's crazy, and by the time like 6 or 7 o'clock rolls around, if you have young kids, they're gassed. It's over. There's nothing left in the gas tank. They got to take some naps along the way, and you'll have fun.
They got like a Chris Long motor for
doubt.
Disney. Yeah, they go until they're out of gas.
Dear Uncle Randy, I need you to settle a debate between me and my buddy. We're having a friendly argument on which record will stand forever: Cal Ripken's Ironman or Tatis's 2 Grand Slams.
Okay, they're both going to stand forever, and I think this is a good, fun argument to have. Now, here's the thing. Nobody will ever hit 3 Grand Slams in an inning. There's no way another pitcher will be allowed to even allow 2. So that one won't be broken, but neither will Ripken's, because let's look at
load management.
Yeah, but rather than Ripken, Ripken's record was, there were some things that happened during Ripken's pursuit of that record, allegedly, mythically.
Allegedly,
yeah.
Randall.
Yeah. That, the power goes out somehow at, if you just want to Google the power going out at Camden Yards during Ripken's streak, you can do that. But, or just Google Cal Ripken, Kevin Costner. It's alleged, but here's
Alleged,
the thing.
Randall.
That's why I say Google it. I'm not saying.
Okay.
But there was, not saying that Cal Ripken utilized the benefits, but there was no amphetamine testing during Cal Ripken's career. And you don't play 2,500 games in a row generally without a helper. 162 over 6 months, it's really, really difficult to do. Nobody will ever do that again, but nobody will hit 3 Grand Slams. So it's hard to settle your debate. I do think, though, that it's more likely that somebody actually breaks Ripken's record than breaks Tatis's record.
I don't agree with that. I think you could get to 2 Grand Slams in 1 inning. I don't think you'd ever see it off the same pitcher.
Right.
Which was the Chano Park.
Right.
Was the same pitcher. So I could see 2 Grand Slams. Pavin Smith is killing the Cardinals right now. He's got 3 games, 3 home runs, and driven in 11 in 3 games. So I could see where you're keeping a guy in there. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's say it's the 7th or 8th inning, and you've gone to a position player because you don't want to wear out your bullpen, and the game is just so lopsided that he comes up again with a chance to hit a Grand Slam.
But here's the thing, Dan. To break the record, you have to hit 3 Grand Slams in an inning.
And that was would somebody break? No,
Yeah. I
don't see that happening one bit. I can see 2, though. And there's no way that someone breaks Cal Ripken's record.
No. That's why it's a great debate to have, but I think neither is probably the likelihood.
If you're just going to think about stats, 4 players last year played all 162.
Yeah.
A lot more teams batted around the order in one inning than 4 times last season. I don't have that number in front of me, but I'm very confident it's much higher than 4. And so just taking those 2 numbers, it seems like there's a much better chance something crazy happens in one inning as opposed to 4 players doing that for how many years in a row do you have to do it to beat the record? 16?
No, I think it's even more than that, maybe.
Is it really more? Oh, my God. That's insane.
I think. I could be wrong. I'm not doing my Vianney math off the top of my head.
It's never going down. Randy, my wife's birthday is coming up. I asked her what she would like for her birthday. She gave me a couple options. One's a piece of exercise equipment, and one's a ring from a fancy jeweler. I'm stumped.
You are not stumped. You are buying a ring and a piece of exercise equipment, my man.
Both.
Wow. Randy is working for the wives this morning, aren't you?
That's the play. Now, if you have an anniversary or because we're past Christmas, if you have the anniversary and the birthday within close proximity, or if you have kids, Mother's Day is coming up as well. But now you have 2 things. Put them both in the phone just so that you have that list in your phone. You don't have to buy both at once, but now she's getting both at some point.
I like that idea, Randy, for many different reasons. But yes, I like that idea. Great advice. I have nothing else to add there other than that is really good advice.
That's why we call it Ask Uncle Randy. Simply put.
Yep.
Do you have more, Matthew?
I actually do. Somebody says, Dear Uncle Randy, have you ever tried a maple bacon caramel long john?
I believe
There's
I
a picture
have.
of it on the text line.
Yeah, I believe. Let's check the text line. I believe I have. I don't know if I had the bacon. Let me check the text line here.
With all due respect, Randall.
Yes.
I would bet the ranch that you've had it. You're a guy that will try a lot of sugary substances, so I'm going to put that out there.
So one time Oktoberfest was
And
coming
you love
up.
bacon.
I do. One time Oktoberfest was coming up, and we were, Fastlane, we were going to broadcast out at Oktoberfest out in St. Charles, and somebody brought in chocolate-covered bacon, and you wouldn't think it would be unbelievable. It was truly unbelievable. So, yeah, I definitely... I'd like to know where we got this maple bacon chocolate long john.
That's what it looks like, yes.
Yeah, I would like to know where it was from because it feels like maybe I
just
had
maple
one.
bacon. It looks familiar. Best donuts in town, everybody. Go ahead and share.
Well, the best bakery in town is at Schnucks. If you go into Schnucks early in the morning, I'm being totally honest here. The best donuts are in town are Schnucks, so they are.
Dan, you brought, or where are the donuts from that you have brought in?
Oh, I don't know. Schnucks, for sure.
Schnucks, okay.
I bounce around. There's some great places in South St. Louis that I'll go to. Matthew, what's the... it's that little tiny white building.
Donut Drive-In?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Owned by our own Tim McKern's brother.
Oh, is that
Really?
right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. By the way, pulled it completely out of nowhere. 16 and a quarter seasons to beat Cal Ripken's record if you go 162
So just
games.
over 16.
Just over 16. 16.24 seasons is what the 2632 divided by 162 breaks down.
And you got to have a little luck along the way. You know, guy sliding in and breaks your thumb, wild pitch, hits your hand. It's amazing.
Little help. Yep.
Strike shortened season makes me you only have to play like 114 1 year or whatever it is.
Sure. You know.
That's right there at the end of his career, and and he gets another 3 full seasons after that.
Yeah.
Hey, Brooke,
Yes.
I want to make you happy.
Okay. Thank you. I was wondering what you were up to over there.
So you said that was at Schnucks.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, best bakery in town.
We're getting great texts. So Donut Drive-In was one of them that was brought up on the text line. Strange Donuts.
Strange Donuts is
I
great
love
right over here.
Strange Donuts.
Yep. There's a couple of places. There's one, and actually there's 2 locations for Tony's Donuts. One at Dorset, and it's on Dorset where the old Quick Trip was. And then there's also one in North County. Tony's Donuts is good. And there's a place, I think there's also one in Winghaven. And there's one in St. Anne called The Sweet Spot. And they have really good donuts, too.
Fenton Old Time Donuts.
Got to check that out.
Okay, I'm taking pictures of this whole list.
Okay.
I'm getting hungry now.
I know.
You guys go down that food road in this early segment with Ask Uncle Randy, and I get hungry.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does, and that's fine. It's, we all love occasionally, about once a month, we get a First Watch delivery in here, and it's just delicious. It's great. Matthew, you got one more?
No, there's a texture here. It says, Danny Mac, what you're thinking of is a building in South County. And I'm like, listen here, buddy. I know exactly what damn building Danny Mac was thinking of, all right?
The Drive-In, right?
You're
South
darn
St.
right.
Louis.
Thank you very much.
It is.
So,
It is.
You guys, okay. We've got 2 minutes here. I want you. No, I'm just going to give 2 minutes. I want something that Dan and Matthew, who are both South City guys.
Okay.
So I want you guys to bond here for 2 minutes over South City. So what do you got for me, Dan? Grade school or something like that. Give it to us.
Yeah. St. Gabriel.
Yeah, St. Gabe's.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
What makes St. Gabe's cool?
The fact that I actually got through it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of shocking.
Yeah, good. Matthew?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a weird sense of community that's kind of old school around St. Louis, and some people might call it parochial, and it can get like that. But I mean, it's like the school picnic is a huge thing every summer. That was something I looked forward to. Literally the day after it ended, I was like, okay, 365 until the next year's school picnic, and like and you got the park and the neighborhood around it. So I mean, that's just
Francis Park.
It's a great neighborhood to live around. There's restaurants everywhere. You can walk to a lot of things, and that's something that you don't always have in this city. It's not a very walkable city, and St. Louis Hills is a great neighborhood for that.
Yeah.
Ted Drew's.
Ted Drew's.
Ted Drew's.
We didn't have that at Craig School right here on Craig Road in the Parkway School District. We didn't have that sort of bonding ability.
Well, you could have gotten into a car with your parents and head down to Ted Drew's.
Yeah,
maybe taking a school trip down there.
That would have been great.
There's a lot of schools that do that. They take a school trip to Ted Drew's.
So I got in trouble one time because I was taking I was a driver for at the lamented, now departed St. Richard's School. I was a driver for a field trip and took my carload of kids in my big old Ford. Remember my Ford Expedition that I
do,
tailgated
yeah.
in? Took like 5 or 6 kids because I had the third row seat and everything. Probably took 7 kids to Ted Drew's. The field trip was to Forest Park, and then we were supposed to go right back to school. I said, "To hell with this.
We're going to Ted Drew's.
We're going to Ted Drew's." So yeah, those kids loved me, and the principal hated me.
The crazy thing is, I've eaten Ted Drew's more probably in the last 5 years than I did in the first 16 years I lived at home.
I did the same thing.
I never went there, and all of a sudden, as soon as I got older, I was like, I need to go here all the time. I forgot how great this is. You take it for granted.
I was a few blocks away, and my brother and I would occasionally walk up there, but we would walk up there in our high school years as opposed to when we were in grade school. I don't know why that was.
Because you can. And you have money. You have money in your pocket.
That's probably true.
Our parents are trying not to give us ice cream every day. I guess, good job.
Yeah.
I love Ted Drew's. Right now, we're still living with our in-laws right now as we're working on renovations at our house. And just about every single week, now it's becoming multiple times a week, David's dad is like, anybody want to go to Ted Drew's? Yes. Anybody?
Love that.
And it's hard because I'm trying not to.
Right. Next time you go, though, they have a new concrete this year with a carrot cake from MacArthur's. Ooh. A carrot cake concrete, and it is unbelievable.
I will throw your carrot cake against anybody, Randy. I'm dead serious.
Well,
it's not even close.
Yeah, but Ted didn't come to me and say, "Hey, you want to do a carrot cake?"
Well,
concrete?
he should have.
Well, he went to
that was a
MacArthur's
miss.
and said, "No, that's a big hit with MacArthur's. MacArthur's carrot cake. I could eat a whole one."
Well, there's not many things that they missed at Ted Drew's. They missed on your carrot cake.
I appreciate that, Daniel.
No problem.
Thank you very much for your text to Ask Uncle Randy here on 101 ESPN. We do appreciate them. Next up this week, our hearts are kind of hollow because we missed something so dearly. We're going to tell you about it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mac for Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance as you listen on this Wednesday morning, maybe you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt. Maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things. Let me make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. And you're saying, Danny Mac, how fast does this happen? Try 10 days. He'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan. That can help you out, too. We talk about the bagel loan all the time throughout the day here on 101 ESPN. Well, you're asking, what is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewart, he is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call. Call him directly. His personal cell phone is 314-324-4440. Again, 314-324-4440. Or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
No.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals will try to salvage the series against the Diamondbacks after getting blasted 14-1 yesterday. They have a 12-15 first pitch today. It'll be former Cardinal Jordan Montgomery, the lefty, facing off against Kyle Gibson for the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Gibson, by the way, joins the opening drive later on today, 9:15. You can hear the show live, and if you can't hear it live, you can always podcast on our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast on 101ESPN.com. And last night in the NHL Playoffs, the Rangers take a 2-0 lead with a 4-3 win over the Capitals. The Panthers survived the Lightning in overtime to take a 2-0 lead in their series. And there's two other series tied as the Avs beat up on the Jets 5-2, and the Predators take down the Canucks 4-1. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Dan and Randy, the last winning season the St. Louis Rams had was 2003. They finished 8-8 in 2004. 2005, they finished 5-11. 2006, they finished 8-8, and then they started off 0-8 in 2007. And then they didn't even have a winning record in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So what happened was, especially over the time that from 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, they went 15-65. Still the worst 5-year record in the history of the National Football League. During that time, the draft became my Super Bowl. I started scouting college players in October because the Rams were terrible. So the second month of the season, I was getting ready for the draft. So I watched a lot of college football back in those days. And like Matthew Rocchio, I would watch the Combine, and I would just totally consume what the colleges were delivering to the NFL. And I've admitted this before. I was with the Rams. I worked for the station that carried the Rams. And I did the pregame show. Thank God I didn't do the postgame show like Stalter and Kerry Davis did. But I was driving past Rams Park. The very first time I ever went past Rams Park after they left was a year later. And I looked at it, and I realized that I had Stockholm Syndrome, that I was sympathizing with my captors. And it was a weird feeling to know that I didn't have to be beholden to that building anymore. But the one thing I did enjoy, and Rick Venturi was a big part of the reason for my enjoyment, is that the draft was cool. And I do really miss this week, especially draft week, because it was very special to me, not only from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. I just thought it was cool.
It's so exciting just to be able to see the new players that you'll be bringing. Now, can you guys take me back to, it's been 10 years since the St. Louis Rams, make sure I'm emphasizing that, St. Louis Rams drafted Aaron Donald. The future Hall of Famer slipped down to the number 13 pick. And at that time, the defensive line was pretty solid already. So what was the feeling like when Aaron Donald was brought into the organization?
I knew Aaron Donald was good, but I got a text from a friend who attended Notre Dame, and they had played Pitt, and he said, I've seen Aaron Donald for the last couple of years. He's a problem. And so I started paying attention, going back and watching more Aaron Donald tape, and you can see, oh, man, he's a problem. And we asked last week the Battlehawks tackle about what he was even as a freshman, how good he was. Remember, they took Greg Robinson with the second pick that year. The Rams didn't have any idea how good Aaron Donald was. They took him with the 13th pick. But once you started paying attention, you got a little bit excited, and then you wondered, when Fisher didn't start him for the first 5 games of his rookie year, you wonder, what is Jeff Fisher not seeing? And the fact was that Fisher was trying to get the franchise moved, and he didn't want quality on the field. That's what it turned out to be.
I think it's a matter of, you talked about missing the draft. I miss it because it was a sense of promise, excitement, new talent coming in. Maybe you can turn this thing around. I would watch it. Now, Randy, I think you need to get a life, and Rocchio, watching tape of college football. Yeah,
no doubt.
Get a life.
Oh, yeah. I have since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you still watch the Combine?
Nope.
No.
I need to get a life. I watch more of the Combine than you guys do.
Dan, I'm with you. I watch the Combine as well. Now, how it has been a little less exciting when you don't have some of the bigger names participating as much anymore, but still, I watch the Combine. I find it interesting.
Yeah. I only know the quarterbacks and receivers in the draft. I don't really know the tackles. I should. There is an edge rusher named Chop Robinson, and I like him because he's got a fun name.
Chop Robinson.
Chop Robinson.
Where's he from? Any idea?
Alabama?
I believe so, yeah. There's nothing better than a player who does what their name says in their position.
Okay. So growing up, whatever your team was, and Brooke, you grew up as a fan of the Titans, the most exciting draft choice, because I got to tell you, my most exciting draft choice was when the Rams had the number 1 and they took Sam. And I thought Sam had that unbelievable workout. People said after Elway, it was the best quarterback workout they had ever seen. He had all the talent. He was a gym rat. He just loved it. And he didn't get the tools to succeed. But that was my favorite pick. And I got to tell you, when they took Holton Bly, I wanted them to take a wide receiver. Well, I wanted them to take a running back until they traded for Marshall a couple of days. But I wanted, and this is how stupid I was, I wanted them to take Champ Bailey with their first pick, which would not have been bad. And then Dwayne Bates, big wide receiver from Northwestern, with their second pick. They wound up getting Torrey Holt and Dre Bly. So they wound up, Charlie Army was smarter at football than I was.
Can I go back to just Donald for 1 second? From the 314, I remember being so upset that the Rams drafted Donald. I wanted OBJ, who went to New York at 12. Crazy how wrong people can be with the new draft picks.
It is. How about you, Matthew? Did you have a favorite pick in your Rams fandom?
I mean, I was absolutely giddy about the Donald pick. I can't even lie. I was obsessed with Donald that year. But the one I was the most happy about was I had been a huge fan of Robert Quinn for 2 years at UNC. And I was like, this guy's going to go top 3. Rams are probably going to have a good shot at him because they suck. And then they ended up having like the 13th pick that year.
Yeah.
I was jumping around my room as he was falling down the board to the Rams. And when they actually got Robert Quinn, I was so damn happy. That was the one I was the most happy about.
I didn't mean to skip over your question, but I think a couple of them, and they were quarterbacks. For whatever reason, it's the Steve McNair curse, right? We've been searching for another Steve McNair in the Titans organization for a long time. Vince Young. I think there was a lot of promise surrounding that. And even I was excited about Marcus Mariota when he came into the organization, where it's like, okay, here's this young, promising quarterback that was able to come in. And that was another thing that didn't pan out well for the Titans.
Right.
This is interesting. Adam Schefter tweeted this out this morning. Now, they calculated the percentage of first-round picks that hit or miss, and that's what makes this fun. I think in the retrospective of it, do you hit with a pick or do you miss with it? And this is based upon whether the player signed a second contract with the team that drafted him. This is encompassing the 20 drafts spanning 2000 through 2019. What do you think that percentage is of guys that get that second contract? It's interesting.
I'm going to say 38%.
Pretty close.
Really?
43%.
Wow.
Really?
So under half So you're getting a lot of hit and misses as you go throughout this. The top position was center, and that was 92%. In terms of QBs, it was half. So half make it, half don't. In terms of that second contract, the wide receivers was only 27%. And that was the lowest of all the positions. We're talking center, offensive tackle, guard, linebacker, QB, edge rusher, defensive tackle, cornerback, running back, safety, tight end. Wide receiver was the lowest of those that get that second contract with a team. Interesting.
That is really interesting. By the way, over that stretch, let me just give you, and you can always look this up at Pro Football Reference, but it's fun and interesting. It is now. It wasn't then. But first-round draft choice in 2006 was Ty Hill, out of the league within 3 years. First-round draft choice in 2007 was cousin Adam Carricker, who I liked, but they took him. He was a defensive end, and they took him to play defensive tackle, so that was kind of a stupid pick. And he was gone within 3 years. Didn't play for Washington for a while. Then you had Chris Long, who had a really good career, number one in 2008. 2009, Jason Smith, who they decided on their first day of minicamp couldn't play left tackle. Kind of a mistake. And then Sam in 2010, Robert Quinn in 2011. Rockers in 2012 wound up being an okay pick. Tavon in 2013. Greg Robinson in 2014. He was more of an entrepreneur than a left tackle. And then Gurley was their last pick in the first round as the St. Louis Rams.
Mine was Orlando Pace, was my favorite pick. I watched him so much at Ohio State. He was so dominant. And when they would, on draft day, break down the tape or leading into the draft, it was incredible how many pancakes he had and just how he never got beat. And he thought, man, you need a blindside guy, and he was it.
Orlando Pace, probably listening now, still lives here in town. Orlando Pace was akin to Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. It's the rare athlete that has that combination of incredible skill that you saw, the ability to pancake, and the desire. Here's an offensive tackle, dominant player in high school and in college, but he's 40 yards downfield blocking for people.
He could run. His feet were incredible. He just did not get beat.
And he worked his butt off.
Yes, he did. Had a little mean streak to him, too, which always helped. He was tough. He was everything you wanted.
Yeah, we got to get somebody on someday to tell the story about Joe Smith, the defensive end from Atlanta. We'll get somebody on to tell that story someday. But that's fun. It's fun to look back at the draft, even though it was kind of dismal sometimes. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take It or Leave It is next on 101 ESPN.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Brooke.
Hey, I want you to know about my friends at Hoffman Brothers because you know the warm St. Louis summer heat is headed our way. And if you haven't scheduled an air conditioner tune-up yet, you need to call Hoffman Brothers at 314-664-3011 or go to hoffmanbros.com to set up your appointment. They offer 0% financing for up to 36 months if you need a new air conditioner. But here's what they're going to do. Come out, make sure that your air conditioner is clean and ready to go and good for the summer. Then they'll give you a lifespan for your air conditioner. And that's important because you don't want to be stuck needing a new air conditioner and not be prepared for it. Well, they're going to prepare you for that at Hoffman Brothers. The maintenance on your air conditioner once a year is just as important as oil changes in your car. Call today or schedule online at hoffmanbros.com. An independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. And in addition to helping you out with your heating and cooling, they're also great at electrical. If you're going to get ceiling fans installed for the summer, call Hoffman Brothers and they'll come out and take care of it. They're the best in the business. Hoffman Brothers, 314-664-3011 or hoffmanbros.com.
You can take it. If you don't, send it right back. Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Dan, Matthew, and Randy, take it or leave it on 101 ESPN. Guys, take it or leave it. The Cardinals would be better served, and Steven Matz would be better served if he were a relief pitcher.
Oh, I'm going to take it. Randy, that was exactly going to be my take it or leave it today, because it makes you think or wonder. We were discussing this. I understand that the contract plays, and you want to see what you have with him as a starter to get the most out of that. But don't you kind of wish that maybe he would have just been in the bullpen to start the season, or they would have went ahead and transitioned that?
Who are you guys going to replace him with?
I'll fix up Zach Thompson. I'll fix up Liberatore. I'll get Palante stretched out. I think that Steven Matz's stuff plays better in the bullpen. And statistically, he was really good in the bullpen when he came back last year. And people talk about the contract. Well, and we've mentioned this before. They were paying Andrew Miller $11 million a year to be a reliever, so that shouldn't be a factor at all.
I go back to his first inning last night, sitting at 95, hit 96. And I've been saying since spring training, I would love to see Steven Matz in the bullpen. Now, who does that come at the cost of? I don't want to move Liberatore. I like Liberatore in the bullpen. Same kind of thing. Airs it out. Seems like he gets better. Now, they are stretching out Palante, but my understanding it's more about working on things. But as you build up innings, and if he's effective, maybe that's one of the guys that goes in that role.
And some guys just aren't as good out of the bullpen. Maybe Zach Thompson is one of those guys. He was good last year down the stretch. He had, in 9 starts last year, an earned run average of 4.48, 33 earned runs in 66 and a third innings. And he's young, and he should get better. Remember, you know what's weird about Zach Thompson? Remember last year when he said that he was watching a lot of Clayton Kershaw tape and trying to emulate the approach of Kershaw? I'm not seeing that this year. I don't know why.
Well, I don't see the velocity. I mean, you got to have stuff, too.
Yeah, and that's something that the Cardinals should be able to work on. And I have no idea. I remember distinctly Adam Wainwright coming on last year. We asked him about, he was down making a rehab start in Memphis, and he was down there the night before, and Liberatore was throwing. Liberatore was throwing 97, 98. Then Liberatore gets here, and he's throwing 94, 95. I just don't get it. Why pitchers have better velo down, maybe the guns are different, down in the minors than they do here.
And here's the thing, too, is that I think that they were hoping that either Zach Thompson or Matthew Liberatore would have emerged as one of those other starter options for them, and that just isn't the case at this point. And it makes you wonder about some of the development there, but this is the position you're in. So I'm going to switch around my take it or leave it. Take it or leave it, Zach Thompson will get sent down to the minors. Now, the corresponding move, we were trying to figure that out earlier during the break. I don't know what that corresponding move will be, because you called up Nick Robertson the other day. Sim Robertson,
well done.
Maybe he could but I don't know if he's ready just yet. That might be pushing it a little bit too much. And we talked about pushing your younger players a little too early or sooner than they probably should be. Who else do you have option-wise that you could call up?
Well, I think right now, for the immediate, they're covered in their bullpen because, and you let him, if you weren't covered with innings, then I think then you'd have to go get a fresh arm, which they may have to do today. I don't think that they will. That's the immediate. And if you're talking about trying to fix him, then maybe you go down into the minor leagues and dip into that talent pool that you may have. But at this point, you got to get them right. One way or another, you got to get them right. So here's our take it or leave it. For me...
Can I throw another name out there?
Go ahead.
Connor Thomas is off to a good start in Memphis. They've liked him, liked him again. Maybe he's a guy that gets a chance.
Good. Yeah, makes sense. Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast in which an NFL scout is quoted worrying about Caleb Williams crying after a loss last year. Quote, raw emotion is great, but Caleb's thing, that was ridiculous to me. That threw up major red flags. I will tell you, he scares the bleep out of me and a lot of NFL teams, too. Take it or leave it. Can we just stop with that?
I'm going to take that.
I'll take that.
I mean, stop breaking down everything.
Yeah.
The guy had a little emotional situation where I think it may have been his last game, too. And they were losing. They were getting thumped. Is that a reason why you wouldn't take a kid?
Yeah,
no.
You're overthinking it.
Absolutely.
They are.
Get out of here with that.
And then also the nail polish, just the over-analyzing some of the off-the-field stuff is a little much there.
It's too much. Yep. Too much for me.
If you can play, you can play, and the guy can clearly play. Matthew, what do you got for us?
We got John, on the YouTube chat. Says, take it or leave it. St. Louis professional football. Mike just had the worst NFL drafts from 75 to 2016. 2 kickers, a QB who couldn't see, a wide receiver who couldn't catch. My God, they drafted a girl.
Yeah, all of that is true.
That's my favorite quote of all time in St. Louis sports history.
Oh, my God, they drafted a girl.
Oh, my God, they drafted a girl.
Randy, you're just shaking your head with your head down. For people that can't see it on the radio, you're just done.
It was unbelievable. And they took Kelly Stauffer. They could have taken Chris Miller, who was pretty good.
Yep.
Wound up being pretty. Just the Cardinals.
What did Chris Miller ever do?
It was, man.
He was in St. Louis for a brief amount of time.
He was. He was the first St. Louis Rams starting quarterback.
That's right.
Vincent Smith of the Jets knocks him out.
And he dealt with a lot of concussions.
A lot of concussions. Back in L.A., he couldn't remember his way home. He had to call his wife for directions to their house. But he gets hit by Vincent Smith of the Jets, gets concussed. And Mark Rippon, bless his soul, comes into the huddle, and he says, we're going to knock that blanker's knees out later, but right now we're going to go score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then they go 3 and out.
Mark Rippon was, he's classy when he got to St. Louis, I thought.
Rip is great, yeah.
When you watch 90s NFL, the amount of times 2 dudes just completely just slam heads, like face masks together, it's like it jumps out to me now when I watch those old highlights how often it happens. It's honestly insane.
How about Ironhead Hayward when he was here?
Yeah.
He let it rip a little bit.
He did. Yeah. He's a guy that is underutilized on Immaculate Grid, by the way. Ironhead played for a few teams.
Take it or leave it. Schertz wins a tournament game within his first 2 seasons.
Over Skins?
Yes.
Randy.
That was just the best take it or leave it ever.
I'm going to take it.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Didn't you already do that one last week, Matthew, with Shirts and Skins?
Yes, that's what he's referring to. Is that take it or leave it?
Yes. Slew Alcindor is going to lead them to a tournament victory.
There we go.
Okay, let's get this out of the way now. Slew Alcindor, Larry Blurred, Larry Nerd,
Steph Blurry,
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steph Blurry. Out of those 5 names, what are we going with?
I like Slew Alcindor.
I do too.
I like that one as well.
Okay.
Second favorite is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
By the way,
that's my favorite.
You think I've gotten better? I'm just watching Indiana State Sycamores tape now.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. And it's Robbie Avila, by the way. That's the correct pronunciation, Robbie Avila.
And they just had another commitment, too. Point guard coming in and a scorer.
Yeah, they got Isaiah Swope from the Sycamores. Then yesterday they actually got Dantzler, who was a young transfer from Creighton. He was a couple of years ago. He was the best high school player in Nebraska. Went to Creighton, and now he's transferring to SLU. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals will have a starting pitcher who gives up more home runs than the Cardinals' leader in home runs hit.
I'm going to take that.
I'm going to go ahead and leave that.
I think that's pretty easy.
Really, you think so?
How many did Lynn give up last year? 44?
That would be the guy.
It was a very, very high amount. Let's see.
Yeah.
Lynn gave up 40 plus. If I was going to make that bet, I would say it would be Lance Lynn because he's going to give his fair share, give up his fair share of home runs, and he pounds the strike zone, and it's fastballs and sinkers, and you know what you're getting with Lance Lynn.
I am not
44
casting
home
aspersions.
runs.
Yeah. Zach Thompson's given up 6 so far this year. The Cardinal leader has not 6, right?
4, I believe, from Nolan Gorman.
Miles and Gibby have both given up 5.
In fairness to Lance Lynn, his home run percentage that's last year was 5.5%. It is down to 3.5% this season.
Okay, I'm going to take this, guys. I'm going to take it. Thank you, Matthew.
One more. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals score more than 1 run today.
Take it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
Look at you optimists.
I don't know.
Is it as hot as Goldie is now?
Randy.
Feeling hot.
We got one more Robbie Avila nickname, which I haven't seen yet. Somebody says Gateway Starch.
Gateway Starch.
I kind of like that, too. That's good. I like it.
Pretty good.
You don't like Gateway Starch?
Oh, no.
There we go.
Just don't look at what he did yesterday. It wasn't hot.
Who? Oh,
Goldie.
Oh, I'm looking at 2 nights ago.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of checked out last night. I was watching other stuff.
Got to 10-1 and I checked out.
Yeah, there's basketball playoffs. There's hockey playoffs. There's other stuff to see.
I'm embarrassed to say I've never seen Band of Brothers.
What?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that. And I watch all kinds of different movies on, World War I, World War II, Vietnam. And I had not seen that. And I don't know how I have not seen that, but I started that last night after it went to 10-1. And I'm sucked in. It's incredible.
I don't think I've watched it either.
You haven't seen it?
I don't think so.
It's great. Start it, and you'll be sucked in.
Okay, I'll put that on my
That
list.
show ruined David Schwimmer for me. I hated him by the end of the show.
Yeah, I can understand why. Yeah, for sure.
Who else is in there in the cast?
Oh, the big name.
One of the big names was from the Showtime series Billions. The main character in Billions, I can't remember his name, but there's a good cast of characters. It's good. Yeah, check it out. Have you seen it, Randy?
I never have. No.
Oh, it's awesome.
Okay.
Check Damian Lewis and Scott Grimes.
There you
go. Ron
Damian Lewis,
Livingston.
former Rams.
No, different Damian Lewis. He's one of the main characters. Donnie Wahlberg's in there as well.
Oh, okay. Donnie Wahlberg was at the Celtics game the other day. Yeah. Damian Lewis was another one of those picks by the Rams, by the way.
Didn't quite work out, did it?
Not quite.
No. Three first-rounders in 1 year really jump-started the program.
Can I give you 30 seconds on how cool Charlie Army was?
I'm going to tell you right now, Randy, you can have 2 minutes.
Oh, hey.
I'm running the board.
Okay, good.
Clock's completely
So,
anyway.
Yeah.
1 year, Charlie Army allowed me, I was working for Charter at the time, and he allowed me in their war room like 3 days before.
He did the same thing with me.
It was awesome. And so I go in and I've got video of the whole war room. So I'm working for $5.50 at the time. And I knew they were going to take Damian Lewis. That's why they made the trade. And so they take Lewis and then had the idea that because Martz had fallen in love with Adam Archuleta. So I go on and I say, look for the Rams to look for the safety from Arizona State here. Then they wind up taking Archuleta. I have no idea what they're going to do with the third pick at that point. And I come up with a Sporting News. And I come up and I sit at the table after Charlie finished his press conference. And he opens up the Sporting News and points to the name of Ryan Pickett.
Uh-oh.
And I go back to to analyze the Archuleta pick, and I said, hey, just remember this name when the Rams pick with their next pick. Ryan Pickett, a defensive tackle from Ohio State. Sure enough, that's who they took. It was great. And Charlie just fed it to me. It was awesome.
And
so
Charlie,
cool.
He showed us the entire board, Brooke, of scenarios, too, of where they had rankings for their guys. Then it was the rankings of what they thought other teams may look at because of needs. And then they did scenarios of what would happen if this unfolded at pick 16. Can they move up? Can they move down? Okay, that changes what we're going to do. It is fascinating to see how they do it.
The football side of that organization at that time with Vermeil and Army had no paranoia whatsoever. They were just awesome.
Yep, it was fun. It was neat. Then he took us out to lunch.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow,
man.
That was the
that's
best
really
part.
nice.
He took, and he liked his lunch.
Lombardo's.
Yeah.
Over by the airport.
Yep, pretty cool. All right, coming up next year on 101 ESPN, we want to hear from you guys in regards to the way things went last night, Ollie's reaction to Steven Matz's performance. We got a lot of texts earlier, and we just want to revisit that and give you an opportunity with the Fresh Take next on 101 ESPN. Hi, it's Randy Carricker. Have you ever been to a car dealership trying to purchase a car and it's taken forever and it's really a hassle to get a loan? Well, I'm here with Jim Olive from AutoLoanPro.com. And Jim, it shouldn't be that difficult for consumers, should it?
Not at all, Randy. You know, here at the AutoLoanPro.com, we realize that bad things happen to good people. We're here to help take those roadblocks out of your way and get you driving in a nice new car, truck, or SUV in as little as an hour.
And if the challenges have occurred because maybe you've had a problem with your credit in the past, that's something that you can work around.
Absolutely. We're here to help people in all kinds of situations. We realize life happens, you know, divorce, bankruptcy, medical bills, different things like that. And we're here to help get them back on track and get them in the nice new car, truck, or SUV of their choice.
If you're in the market for a vehicle, download the playbook at AutoLoanPro.com.
I wrote the playbook to help people understand that it's about all the ways to move forward in the future to help your financial situation and get you on the road to recovery and get you in the vehicle that you want.
That's Jim Olive, AutoLoanPro.com. There's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro, AutoLoanPro.com.
Okay, I'm ready to record my jewelry store's new radio spot. I got a great script that really goes after Diamonds Direct and how they're nothing special and how we can match their price. Great stuff.
Oh, great. We have this new technology that bleeps out any false claims, so it saves us time with editing. So you can start anytime.
Okay, here goes. When you visit our jewelry store, we'll guarantee direct. Our diamonds come straight. We have cutters and... Hey, what the?
The hard truth is that other jewelry stores simply can't do what Diamonds Direct can. Diamonds Direct has special relationships with De Beers, international connections, and virtually unlimited buying power. The result is true direct importer pricing, exceptional quality, and up to 30 times the diamond selection you find at other stores.
I can't believe this thing won't let me say...
Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get more truth at DiamondsDirect.com.
Had a friend that actually had some gutters fall off of her house. And she said, where do I go? And I said, gutterpros.com, a company that has been in St. Louis for quite some time, and they do fantastic work on gutters. If you have gutters that fall off your house, gutterpros.com is the place to go. If your gutters are rusted, you pull into the driveway and you look up and you say, man, they don't look good. Gutterpros.com is the place to go. Maybe you come home on a rainy night and there's water coming over the middle of your gutters. Gutterpros.com is the place to go. Water goes where where they tell it to go at gutterpros.com. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. And at gutterpros.com, they don't do just gutters. They'll do some leaf protection. They'll do soft fit and fascia. They can do fantastic work for your home. All you need to do to make your appointment is go to gutterpros.com. They'll provide you with a low pressure estimate. And when you need new gutters, whether it's on your home or your business, Gutter Pros is the place to go in St. Louis. A great St. Louis company. They're all about St. Louis, and they will take care of you at gutterpros.com.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
I actually thought it was one of his better outings, to be quite honest with you. The line doesn't show that, but from a pitch standpoint, Vila was there, walking the 9-hole in that inning that kind of led to some runs. Wasn't ideal, but Walker took a good swing off of him for the most part. I thought he actually did a pretty decent job. Didn't go our way.
8:12, 8:13 now in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. That was Cardinal skipper Ali Marmol after the 4-1 loss to the Diamondbacks last night, referencing the outing of Steven Matz, the Cardinals with the loss, in last place in their division in the National League Central. They're 10-14, 5 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers, and a lot of reaction, not just to the loss, but to Ollie's reaction to Matz last night on the text line, and it is open 314-399-9646, 314-399 yo-ho. There is nothing good to say after you lose a game by a score of 14-1, and it's just... It's bothersome to me. This is a fan base that understands baseball. I know that there's a lot of impatience now because the Cardinals haven't been to a World Series since 2013, and there's this sense that, well, we should go to the World Series every 3 years or something like that. That's not reality, but I do think when you have a well-educated group of fans, and that's what everybody says. Why do players like St. Louis? Because their fans are smart and knowledgeable. Well, don't tell us that Steven Matz had his best. Maybe he did have his best outing, but don't tell us Steven Matz was good last night. We love the guy. Steven Matz is a friend of the show, but I think he would tell you that that was not a good outing.
No, and he didn't. And he was very frustrated with it afterwards. But he allowed a 3-run homer to Christian Walker, the 6th 3-run homer, by the way, allowed by the Cardinals this season. And to me, when you hear Ollie say about Walker took a good swing at him, it really wasn't. He just left a changeup right over the heart of the plate there. Location is one thing, but really it was just not even a good pitch to use in that moment. I think that the biggest takeaway I have with what Ollie was saying is I understand. I think a lot of fans understand that there is a process to this, but where's the sense of urgency? And sometimes that's what you want to hear in those post-game comments.
You know, they talked about being fundamentally sound going into the season, and I do think they've played way better defense than they did a year ago. The bullpen has been way better than it was a year ago, but last night you got a bad start. There's no other way to look at it. It was not a good start for Steven Matz. They had a base running mistake by Nolan Gorman. You had a defensive miscue. You also had a miscue in which there was a base hit, run scored, runner at first goes to third, and the batter goes to second. You miss the proper cut. I mean, little things like that. Offense was non-existent, and the bullpen was ineffective with Zach Thompson, so it adds up to a bad loss. And looking at Jordan Montgomery today, you could have one win on the homestand, and we've talked about the fact that they have to be much better at home. Right now, the Cardinals, since the beginning of last year, are 39-53, and that's a .425 winning percentage. Now at home, they're 4-7, and they're 4-10 against teams above 500 or better, at 500 or better. So, some of those trends are early for the Cardinals that need to change, and just not a good night at the ballpark last night. There's no other way to say it.
Here's a text from the 314. It says, the Cardinals organization got credit for Dave Duncan and La Russa's big league development. Used to be excited about getting other teams' pitchers. Now, dreading our pitchers going elsewhere and succeeding. And, guys, it doesn't seem like that was just with pitchers either. And we're talking about a Hall of Fame manager and a guy that should be a Hall of Fame pitching coach. And that staff was generally a Hall of Fame staff when you had people like Dave McKay and Jose Oquendo. It was a fantastic staff. But it was interesting that in those days, when players came to St. Louis and left St. Louis, the best baseball that they played was in St. Louis. And you look at a guy like Jimmy Edmonds, who was, granted, he played his best years here, and that was during the prime of his career. But McGuire, after a great run in Oakland, comes here and plays his best baseball. A guy like Tony Womack had his best year here in St. Louis.
I was just thinking about him yesterday. I used to play a lot of golf with it. I don't know why I was thinking that, but I was.
He's a good golfer. But just think about the guys, Renteria, who started off in Miami, was pretty good, came here, was great, leaves St. Louis, and not as great.
Woody Williams.
There you go. The pitchers, I mean, when you're talking about Woody, when you're talking about Supam, when you're talking about Joel Pinheiro, when you're talking about Wellemeyer, when you're talking about Ken Boddenfield, I mean, it's unbelievable how every pitcher, every single pitcher, Kyle Loesch, was better under these guys and in this organization than they were anywhere else.
I think what's frustrating for fans right now is seeing Zach Gallen go and have success. Alcantara, Randy Arozarena, Adolis Garcia, Tyler O'Neill now, which I had no problem with the way that unfolded. I mean, it just wasn't going to work here. Marco Gonzalez, another one that was part of the O'Neill deal. Some of these guys have gone other places, and I don't think it's about a lack of development in the minor leagues or drafting. I mean, look at the team that they're putting out there, for the most part, good or bad, has been brought in by the draft or through the international market, and then they leave St. Louis. And so it's evaluating the talent that you have once they're here. That, I think, is up for debate.
Yeah, evaluating and developing. And sure, Dan, I know this was the case last year, and I don't know if it's still the case, but there was a point last year and the year before where the St. Louis Cardinals had drafted and brought up more Major League players than any other organization. The teams around Major League Baseball had more people that started their pro careers with the Cardinals than any other organization.
And that's what I'm talking about. Under your watch, under your roof. And that's why I think Chaim Bloom comes in, or some others that have that outside perspective to say, you may be missing something on this guy. We like this guy. And I'll tell you why. When we were at Boston or wherever team that you were with, we evaluated him this way. And I do think that it's good to get another set of eyes on what you have. It's just a matter if you keep them or not and continue to develop them at the major league level.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks is another name. Of course, we're looking at him right now wondering, why did it work out in St. Louis? And the Cardinals did give him opportunities, but for whatever reason, it didn't pan out here. Why do you guys think that it didn't work out in St. Louis, but it's currently working out? And it's early on in the season with the Giants.
Well, it's unfortunate reality, and you hate to say that we just aren't as good at coaching as other teams. But the reality of the situation is, it appears we aren't as good at coaching at the major league level as other teams are, of determining what a pitcher or a player does best and then getting them to do that.
I would look at this stretch of games coming up as being very important, because there's some signs like you saw on Saturday, and there's signs like last night where you feel like if you fall behind, and they were up 1-0 in that game, but then it became a game that was 2 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, that you're not going to come back in. You got to get the momentum shifting the other way. You need to pull out some games like they did 2 nights ago, just to say, get that bad taste out of last year out of your mouth and not have that momentum coming into the early portion of the season. I think that's very important.
Cards and Diamondbacks rubber game of the series today at the ballpark. Jordan Montgomery will start against the Cardinals, and it'll be Kyle Gibson going for the Redbirds in the 12-15 game. That is today's Fresh Take. Coming up, there's a lot going on in Major League Baseball outside of the Cardinals, and we're going to give you some of our Major League Baseball trends next on 101 ESPN.
All right, so the Cardinals games haven't been that fun. Here's a way to spice them up. Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game right now, live in Missouri. It's Pick'em Champions. You pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stat projections, pick your entry fee, and then once you're entered in alongside other underdogs, you just need to hit your entries to be walking away with your winnings. Let's put together an entry for the Cardinals game today. It's not going to be an overly positive Cardinals-centric entry, but let's do it anyhow. Jordan Montgomery, former Cardinal. We're going to go higher than 16.5 pitching outs. I feel like he's got something to prove tonight. On the other side, we're going to go lower than 17.5 pitching outs for Kyle Gibson. Cardinals need a win today. I think they're going to be a little bit more studious with their use of the bullpen, probably going to pull Kyle a little bit early. And then Paul Goldschmidt, he's struggling. It's unfortunate, but we got to ride what we got to ride. So Paul Goldschmidt, lower than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI in the game. You can do whatever you want with Underdog Fantasy. You can put in entries for all the different sports. You can even put in some NBA if you want to ride with Jason Tatum and the Celtics tonight with an NBA entry. Everything's there. Underdog, super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code ROCC, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they're going to give you a mystery special pick to use in your first pick'em entry. That's going to boost your winnings. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more, up to $100 matched, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present this day when Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org.
interesting stories going on in Major League Baseball outside of St. Louis. And we've got some early season trends for you here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, what are you looking at right now?
Well, what I'm looking at right now is big hitters with cold bats. We've talked a lot about Paul Goldschmidt, obviously, and his struggles to start the season. It hasn't been fun to watch, but he's not the only veteran big hitter that is currently going through this. Have you guys seen what's happening with Aaron Judge? Now, last night, he did show just a few signs that he's able to really bust out of this season-long funk. He was able to double and squared up a few other balls in the Yankees' 4-3 win over the A's last night. But Judge entered the game in a major slump. He was sporting a 174 batting average with 18 strikeouts in his past 8 games. Despite this, the Yankees are still off to a 16-8 start, so that is a plus side for them. But when do you start to get concerned about veteran big hitters and their performance? Is April too soon? Is Aaron Judge a good example of this? Of course, we'll have to judge it by the end of the season to see the full scope of his performance. But is April really a fair time to judge, especially for a veteran big hitter, how they're performing?
If you're in New York, it is.
Yeah. They booed him the other day.
Yeah,
they booed him the other day.
Yeah, day one in New York it starts. You have a tough day on opening day, you're getting booed. I don't think it is, Brooke, to answer your question. I think his track record is there. He'll hit a bunch of home runs, and by the end of the season, they'll be chanting his name and love him out in the outfield. And, you know, I kind of feel the same way with Goldie, and I hope I'm right. And for Cardinal fans, they need that to happen. And, you know, there's just certain guys that are off to your point, off to slow start so far. All right, do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going Shohei Ohtani. Now, this is not like breaking news, but you think about him moving to a new organization. He had UCL surgery. He signs the biggest contract in North American sports history, so he's got pressure. He got married. And, oh, by the way, he's rehabbing his arm to prepare to pitch in 2015, and then was the victim of massive theft. So you had all that going on, and yet here he is at the top of the lineup for the Dodgers. Both Betts and Ohtani are over 1,000 in OPS. Ohtani with 17 extra base hits, and this is the best start to his career, and he's already been an MVP multiple times. So watch out for Shohei Ohtani. One of the early trends is that he still is awesome.
Leading the majors in batting average and OPS.
It's incredible. He's just a freak of nature, man.
He's a unicorn. I don't think that we will. Will you say that we will never see another player like Shohei Ohtani?
I think it's safe to say that we never will.
I think at some point you might, but it's going to be a long time.
Yeah, maybe you guys, not me.
Randy, why do you always do that? You're not going anywhere.
Guys, if you just hyper-focus on the Cardinals, it's easy to not look at some of the things that we're talking about with Ohtani and with Aaron Judge. The team with the best record in Major League Baseball is the Cleveland Guardians. They're 17-6, the .739 winning percentage. They're a game and a half clear of the Yankees, who have the second best record in baseball. And it's not just the fact that it is the Guardians, but it's the Guardians with first-year manager Stephen Vogt. They lose Terry Francona. They lose Shane Bieber, their number one starting pitcher after his 2 starts. Right now, their starting rotation in Cleveland is Logan Allen, Tanner Bibby, Ben Lively, Carlos Carrasco, and Tristan McKenzie. Nobody that's really done it at the major league level. It's amazing to look at their lineup because it's not a lineup that is loaded with classic names. This is certainly not the mid-'90s Indians, with the Guardians having Bo Naylor behind the plate, Josh Naylor, his brother, at first base. Andres Jimenez is their second baseman. Jose Ramirez is their shortstop. Matthew's brother, Brian Rocchio, is their shortstop. We're going to get that pronunciation right. And their outfield is Stephen Kwan, Tyler Freeman, and Ramon Laureano, with Will Brennan, the immortal Will Brennan, as their DH. Kids. And by the way, Emmanuel Clase, who might be the best closer in baseball, is their closer. But the Cleveland Guardians are 17-6 with the best record in baseball.
You know, and you talk about the division that they play in, and that can't be an excuse anymore. You say, well, you beat up on your own division. You got to go outside your division, too, which is something to keep in mind. Can I throw another one out there?
Sure, go ahead.
He is, I think, my favorite player to watch, and an early trend here is Elly De La Cruz.
Yes.
From the Cincinnati Reds. He's had 77 at-bats okay, this year. 7 home runs. He's driven in 17. He has stolen 12, and he's got 22 runs scored. So in the National League, when you think about Betts or Ohtani or some of the other players that you could make a case for MVP, if he keeps this kind of thing up and gets the Reds into the playoffs, he'll be in that conversation. He's a freak of nature, too. As tall as he is, the way that he glides when he runs, he's so fast. I just love watching him. I think he's a great player.
I don't like the Reds having nice things, but he is really exciting to watch. And you can't hate that because we talk about it all the time. It's great for Major League Baseball to have a young player like that who's fiery, the competitive nature that he shows night and day in and night out. I think that's something that every single team wants. And you're starting to see that they're pushing him out there more and more as one of the younger faces of Major League Baseball.
And I can see the Reds. To me, they're the one team in this division that have enough starting pitchers, if they're healthy, to go on a run. Because we kind of know what the Cardinal pitchers are. They have their history. I think the Cubs have some good guys at the top, and Imanaga has been great so far, and Justin Steele was great last year, won 16 games. But I think they're limited at the bottom of their rotation. Pittsburgh is going to be limited, although they're going to bring Skeens up and probably be...
Why isn't he here already?
Better. Right. But when you... And I still think Milwaukee doesn't have enough starting pitching. But Hunter Green has a ton of ability. Andrew Abbott has a ton of ability. Lodolo is what he is. Nick Martinez, we've seen it with him. And Graham Ashcraft, we saw it last year. I think the one team in this division that could go on a run because of what you're talking about with young players like De La Cruz and Steele is great. They've got a lot of really good parts there. I think Cincinnati's the one that could go on a run.
As tough as it is right now to be a Cardinal fan and wake up this morning and you're out of first place by 5 games and saw them lose 14-1 last night, you could be the White Sox.
Yeah.
They are 3-20. They've been shut out 8 times in their 23 games. They have the 4th fewest runs scored through 23 games in Major League history. Their run differential is minus 80. I mean, you're only in the first 3 weeks of the season.
Not good.
So you could be 3-20 and realize that you may not get to 60 wins this year.
Another thing, and I know we got to get out of here, but just real quick, the Orioles, the amount of young players that they have brought up, how many homegrown hitters they have now that they're actually using. I know that there was a lot of tanking that was involved leading up to this point, but still, that's a testament to what they're able to go out there and get and also develop.
The Orioles have hit 35 home runs in 22 games. The White Sox have scored 46 runs in 22 games.
Yep. And to your point, Brooke, the Orioles have enough hitting so that if they want to go out and add to Corbin Burns in their rotation, they can do it. They're loaded with especially middle infielders. They've got like 10 of them that are really, really good.
Yes.
One other note about the Reds, Chris Encarnacion Strand. Do you think you'll be able to read his autograph when you get it?
Whose is it?
Chris Encarnacion Strand.
Is there enough spots or enough room on the baseball to put that on there?
Yeah.
Now think about his jersey too.
Right.
Yeah.
Now with smaller lettering now, so you might be able to, you know, put the arch around the number kind of thing.
Very arch. It's going to turn into a circle at one point.
Coming up, Dan. Is it Dan that's going for the HOF today? I
remember his name.
I do now, yeah. By the way, somebody sent an email yesterday to our program director because they thought that we couldn't remember the name of our last Hall of Famer. We all remember the name of our last Hall of Famer. We just couldn't remember when he won. So, but his brother, to his credit, texted in and said, "Yeah, I know who the last Hall of Famer was. Was it his brother, Matthew?
It was his brother.
His brother, yeah. So, congratulations to the last guy who won the Hall of Fame. Was it Bob? Steve? Jim?
Keith.
Keith. Okay. Keith, congratulations.
From Belleville.
Keith from Belleville.
You've tried to forget about him, Randy.
I know, I've repressed. I have. The fight is coming your way on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals with a bad loss yesterday, 14-1, as both Steven Matz and Zach Thompson get tagged for 7 earned runs apiece. Cardinals will look to get back in the win column and salvage a series against the Diamondbacks with a 12-15 first pitch. It'll be Jordan Montgomery, the former Cardinal, the lefty, 1-0 in the season with a 1.50 ERA across just 6 innings pitched, facing off against Kyle Gibson. Gibby on the season, 1-2 with a 5.04 ERA. Last night, a big night in the playoffs as the Suns fall to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves taking a 2-0 lead in that series. Pacers over the Bucks to tie that one up at 1 apiece, and Mavs over the Clippers to also tie their series at 1 apiece through 2 games. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Danny Mac, Rocc here, and it is time for the fight. And we bring back Dan. Dan, welcome back. Today is a big day for you because if you win today, then you make it to the Hall of Fame round. How are you feeling?
Great. I didn't realize it was such a big deal.
It's a big deal, Dan. It doesn't happen. We've only had 2 people one person reach the Hall of Fame in the over 2 years that I've been writing the fight questions, and we've only have, I think, like 9 or 10 people actually reach a day 3 to even go for a Hall of Fame. So you're in pretty impressive company right now.
Wow. Well, I was lucky last 2 days, but...
Well, we've been talking about it all show long, about how amazing this run has been. So let's get to it. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Question number 1, Dan. Which team did Carlos Beltran hit the most home runs in his career? Was it the Royals, the Mets, or the Astros?
I think it's the Mets. I'll go final Mets.
Question 2, who is the only Cardinal to win the second base Silver Slugger? Colton Wong, Tony Womack, or Matt Carpenter?
Matt Carpenter. I know it's not that. Final answer.
Question 3. Who is the Blues' career playoff leader in wins for a goalie with 20? Is it Greg Millen, Jordan Binnington, or Jacques Plante?
Jacques Plante.
Okay, since the addition of another round in 1994, no MLB team has gone undefeated in the playoffs. So which NL club is the last World Series winner to go undefeated in the playoffs? Was it the Reds, the Mets, or the Cardinals?
Reds. Final.
All right, Dan. Let me go grab Randall. And how are you feeling about the fight so far?
It's not too good.
No? Well, you said that the past 2 days, and here you are here on a Wednesday, Dan.
That's true.
Oh, here comes Randy. He's very chipper walking in here. No grapes. He's already demolished them.
All business.
All business today. And he's getting his headphones. We're doing play-by-play, and the headphones are on. Randy, say hi to Dan again.
Dan, again, good morning. How you doing?
Good, Randy. You getting sick of me yet?
No, never get sick of you, brother. Love having you with us. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. Good luck today.
Hey, thank you. You too.
All right, question number 1, Randy. Are you ready?
Ready.
Which team did Carlos Beltran hit the most home runs in his career?
I believe that it wasn't Houston. I think it was the Mets, where he played like 7 years. I'm going to go with the New York baseball Mets.
The Metropolitans there, Randall.
Yeah.
All right. Question 2, you ready?
Ready.
Who is the only Cardinal to win the second base Silver Slugger?
Second base Silver Slugger. Okay, let's go through the second baseman in history here. I don't think they had the Silver Slugger.
I knew you were going to go there.
When Roger Hornsby and Frankie Frisch were playing.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Probably Silver Slugger started after the Redhead, Red Schoendienst. Julian Javier. We're talking Ted Sizemore, Mike Tyson. Obviously, we went through a lot of second basemen when we had Tony here, didn't we?
Sure did.
Tommy didn't win one because Ryan Sandberg won every year, whether he deserved it or not. You know what, though? 85, hit over 300 with 110 RBIs. I'm gonna roll the dice on Tommy Herr in 1985, big boy.
Okay, final answer?
Yeah.
On to question 3 we go.
Who is the Blues' career playoff leader in wins for a goalie with 20?
20 victories for a goaler. Brooke, am going to go with one, Jordan Binnington. He had 16 in 2019. That's a good start.
Well, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Are you ready for question 4?
I am.
Since the addition of another round in 1994, no Major League Baseball team has gone undefeated in the playoffs. So, which NL club is the last World Series winner to go undefeated in the playoffs?
Last NL club, and it hasn't happened since 1994 with the expansion. Actually, we didn't have a World Series in 1994. It was not 93. It was not 92. It was not 91, 90. I'm going to, do I get the teams here or just the years? I'll do the lifeline, Dan.
Okay. Reds, Mets, Cardinals.
Okay, the Cardinals, boy, they would have had to sweep the World Series because they never did it in the playoffs. Reds, Mets didn't do it, unless it was 1973 or 69, which I don't think they did. So I think I'm just going to go with the process of elimination here, and I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Redlegs.
So you're going Big Red Machine?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
Matthew, please.
You got to be freaking kidding me. We have a tie. And so we have to go to the tiebreaker for this third fight. And so if Dan is in the Hall of Fame,
I love
he'll
this.
do it by winning 3 different tiebreakers across potentially 4 different tie-breaking questions. So, Dan, you know the rules, but for everybody else, I'm going to read out the question. We're going to give Randy Carricker a moment to write down his answer. After he has written down his answer, Dan gives his answer audibly, and then Randy Carricker shows the entire listening audience, whether it be audibly or on the camera. Dan, do you understand those rules?
Yes.
All right, Randy, do you have a piece of paper?
I do. Big piece of paper.
All right, so it's Carlos Beltran's birthday. We asked a question earlier about which team he hit the most home runs with. The answer wasn't the Cardinals. It wasn't even an option. So my question for you is, in 2 seasons and almost 300 games played with the Cardinals, how many home runs did Carlos Beltran hit with the Birds on the bat? In his 2 seasons and almost 300 games, 296, played with the Cardinals, how many home runs did Carlos Beltran hit? Randy Carricker has his guess. Dan, what is your guess, sir?
I'm going to go 45.
All right. Dan went 45. Randy Carricker, how many did you go with?
I said it was 43, Matthew.
All right, I got to do a little math here because this one's another close fight. So, Dan is trying to go for a Hall of Fame entry with a 3rd straight tiebreaker victory. Randy Carricker trying to stave off another Hall of Fame challenge. The last one got through almost exactly a year ago, April 12th, 2023. A year later, does it happen? Is Dan the next Hall of Famer? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Dan.
Music finally.
There it is.
Good job, Dan.
Congratulations by the skin of your teeth. You did it again. In 2 seasons, Carlos Beltran hit 56 home runs for the St. Louis Cardinals, almost exactly identical to his Mets, from his Astros total from also, or Yankees total, I should say, from 2 years as well. His Astros total was only 37 in those 2 years. So a win for Dan in the fight. And Dan, you are a Hall of Famer in the fight. Congratulations, sir.
Wow, thank you.
Good job.
Nicely done. How about that? Good job, Dan. Congratulations.
I need to do a speech. Thank everybody responsible for making this happen.
So you were awesome. Great job.
Incredible job, Dan. And of course, we will get in contact with you because you have to come to the station and pick up your signed Randy Carricker baseball, get your little trophy, get a picture, and you'll be up on the website in perpetuity, forever. A legend status, always on the 101 ESPN website as a Fight Hall of Famer. Congratulations, Dan.
Wow, thank you. I'm not even from here either.
There you go. Well, hey, you can come into St. Louis and walk away with the championships. And, of course, you will join us tomorrow for another edition of The Fight. Yep. And from here on out, you got to do it Randy style. No options, sir.
Okay.
All right, Dan, we'll talk to you later. Let's go through those questions and answers today. It was, in fact, the Mets that Beltran hit his most home runs of his career, 149 across his 7 years. He also did a little Steven Matz, Zach Thompson special, 7 years with the Royals, 7 years with the Mets. He hit 123 with the Royals, 149 with the Mets. The only Cardinal to win the second base Silver Slugger in 2013 was Matt Carpenter. Only second base Silver Slugger for the Cardinals in their history. Blues clear playoff leader in wins for a goalie is, in fact, Jordan Binnington with 20. Greg Millen is tied with Glenn Hall for second with 17, which shocked the hell out of me. And not since 1994 when they added that third round has a team gone undefeated in the Major League Baseball playoffs. It was, in fact, the 1976 Cincinnati Reds, the last team to sweep both rounds of the playoffs in Major League Baseball. It was a 3-3 tie, and then it took us to 2 seasons and almost 300 games played for the Cardinals. Carlos Beltran hit 56 home runs. Congratulations to Dan, and we'll talk to him again tomorrow.
Good job by Dan in winning the fight and making the Hall of Fame. Cool for him. Coming up, Rory McIlroy is going to return to the PGA Policy Board. Will that change the vibe and the look of golf? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you aren't feeling your best, if you don't have the mental acuity that you used to have, and you want to get that back, if you aren't physically what you used to be, you don't have that physical stamina to get through workouts like you used to have, you might be dealing with low T. And that's why you need to get in touch with Mentality at lowtusa.com. Make an appointment at lowtusa.com. Go to Mentality's clinic, either in Chesterfield or South County, and they're going to find out where your testosterone level is. And then they have a weekly supplemental treatment that will provide testosterone to your body and get your testosterone level back to when you were younger, and it'll allow you to compete like you did years ago. Your life is a competition, and you need every edge you can get in today's rapidly changing world. Don't let age be an excuse to settle for second best. Get to Mentality, and their board-certified physicians are going to provide a complete physical exam, consultation, a blood panel, and results with the very first visit. They're great. They're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as can possibly be, and they're going to get you back to where you want to be so that you can be physically what you used to be and mentally what you used to be at Mentality. Get started now at lowtusa.com. with the management of golf, and he's, according to ESPN, poised to return to the PGA Tour's policy board pending a vote by that board. And one of the things that, since he changed his mind on LIV, that McIlroy has been a big advocate of is bringing golf back together with a world tour. As we know, most of the PGA Tour takes place in the United States. They start in Hawaii in January, and then they have a couple of tournaments, one in Mexico, one in Canada during the course of the season. But most of the tour is played here in the United States. McIlroy wants golf to be a world tour where they have tournaments in India. They have tournaments in Dubai. They'll have tournaments in Saudi Arabia. He wants to take some of the tournaments away from the United States and develop a complete world tour. Is that something that'll work?
I think it's the only way that they come together when we talk about LIV players and the PGA Tour. And the other thing, by the way, that came out this morning was that Greg Norman, who is the CEO of LIV Golf, said that they need to go to 72-hole format, which is typically what you would see on a PGA Tour stop. But to the original question, Randy, I think there's got to be give and take on both sides. That's how I'm reading this. By the way, if I'm Rory McIlroy, I'm out. I'm done with the PGA Tour policy board. The way that he's been treated in this, and he was so vocal against LIV and was kind of the face of being vocal against it, I'd be frustrated, but yet everybody turns to him for an opinion, and he's got one. And if this is the way that you have to get, if this is the way that you're going to get the big names back together, as much as I can't stand certain things about LIV, and there's some things I don't like about the PGA Tour, but if this is how it's got to come together, then I'm all in. If you have to eliminate some events in the United States, then you're going to have to do that. But I want to see the best players competing on the same stage.
And I want to see the merger happen, but how they get this done is going to be the biggest part here, because Rory also squashed the rumors that people are thinking, okay, maybe he might want to join forces with LIV or might want to join the LIV Tour, and he put that to bed. He does not want to do that. But what exactly will this merger look like where you can get everybody happy on the same page here? Because as we know, with everything that's happened, you had the guys that stuck with the PGA Tour who felt like they were doing the right thing, and then you have the guys going to the other side with LIV taking the money. How do you make everybody happy in this situation?
I think one of the things is that you have to make the guys that did not leave the PGA Tour somehow whole. You've got to, they didn't take the money, and they're going to say, now, wait a minute, these guys took the money, they went to LIV, and now they can have their cake and eat it too. I don't see how that happens, because you're going to have to, Randy, make the PGA Tour players whole in some way. Now, what's the equation to do that? I have no idea. But with the influx of money that they've had into the PGA Tour, with the endless amounts of money they have at LIV, if they come together, you would think that would be something they could work out. And if they do, like you say, come back together, then who is it that makes Rory McIlroy whole, or right now Scotty Scheffler? Well, that's what I mean. LIV has got to step up, and then the PGA Tour has got to step up.
That PIF. And I wonder, because here's what McIlroy said. He said his dream scenario is a world tour with the proviso that corporate America has to remain a big part of it. So corporate America finances a tour where they have the Irish Open, the Scottish Open, the Australian Open, and the South African Open, all marquee events. Well, if you are, and by the way, corporate America is already checking out of the PGA Tour, but let's just put yourself in the shoes of Honda of America. They're out of the tour right now. But if you're Honda America, why do you want to support or sponsor the Scottish Open? Why not have Scottish companies or Irish companies or Australian companies or South African companies finance those events, or the PIF? And here's the other question I have. How many Americans, if it is an American-based tour, how many Americans are going to wake up at 1 a.m. to watch the Australian Open?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. I mean, Brooke, you love tennis. Do you stay up late or get up early in the morning to watch the Australian Open?
If it's a certain player, a big name player specifically, then I will. But very rarely will I just do that casually.
I just don't know if they can make it all work. And I go back to the original point I was saying, is making these players that jumped, making the ones that did not jump, making them whole. I think with the endless amounts of money, though, that the Saudis have in this thing, Randy, when you talk about who supports it, who sponsors it, I really don't worry about that, because if this means that they come together and this is what Yasser wanted, he wanted to get his piece of the pie with this. They've got endless amounts of money to fund this thing if they want to do. And so you lose some sponsors, but then these guys step up and pay for it.
And long term, the strategic sports group of billionaires that has put a lot of money into the PGA Tour, number one, they're spending money too. They want to be happy with what they've got, and I would guess that they want it to be a more American-centric tour. So clearly, the PIF money is going to win out, but is the best thing for, and we're jingoistic here, right? Is the best thing for golf to leave America?
Probably not. Depends on how many events, though. For me, it would be, now I'm in the weeds on this stuff and I love golf. Could I stand it to miss a PGA Tour event on a weekend? I would not like that, but I'd understand it. I mean, I do it with the British Open. I have to get up early to watch that or to see my favorite players. So I think you could stomach it for a handful of events. Could you stomach it, though, where it's half and half? Absolutely not. Then I think you're doing your fans a disservice.
Yep. And Brooke, just one note, because McIlroy has, I mentioned, Irish, Scottish, Australian, South African. By the way, he wants the Australian to be the 5th major. And
I kind of like that idea.
That would be interesting, but what's the point of having the PGA Tour Championship then?
I was going to say that would also be my. I'd do like 6 majors.
You could do that.
Just to elevate it, but to get more fan interest in the game.
Yep. Then he wants to
because you're losing it right now.
You are big time. He wants to do South Africa, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. So that's at least 8 tournaments that are happening in America now that wouldn't anymore.
Would it bother you?
Yeah.
Just because it's not here and you can't watch it? Or because they're taking potential business outside the United States?
Why is the PGA Tour what it is? Why is World Golf what it is? Because of the foundation being built here.
Part of it. European golf is pretty big, though, too.
It is.
So you'd have to have them step up. PGA Tour, it's based here. I mean, primarily, for sure.
It is based here. And I think that's a big part about why Rory wants to return to the PGA Policy Board after stepping away from it, is because he believes that golf's reputation has been damaged throughout this process, and it has to be fixed. But here's the thing is, will LIV play ball with the PGA Tour through this process? I know that they say they will, but they have the money, and when you have the money, you have the full control and power.
Right.
When we're talking about a merger here.
The golden rule applies here, right? He who has the gold rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. That's what's going to happen. But I'm speaking as an American here. It's not worth it for me to irreparably harm American golf. And by the way, they'll make more money going international. There's no doubt about it. If you're in India, if you're in South Africa, if you're in South Korea, maybe North Korea, I don't know. But a world tour is going to make more money. But you're also going to lose a large portion of the American golf audience.
I wonder if 5 years, this is all done. That it's together. You get parts of LIV, you get parts of the PGA Tour, the players come together, and this is all for naught. I mean, it's Greg Norman. You know what? He read the room right. He disrupted golf to the point that you had these players. I never thought Jon Rahm would leave the PGA Tour. I never thought that would be a day that that would happen. And I think Jon Rahm, when he jumped for the money that he did, I think his point was, I'm going to get other players to jump. And when we get all these players to jump, it's going to force, again, it's going to back the PGA Tour into a corner where they have to do business with LIV.
And I think he has some regrets now.
I thought a lot about the LIV players during the Masters, where, Bryson DeChambeau, let's say, who is in contention, and he looks around and there's people that are in the crowd 15, 20 deep following him. And now he's got to go to a LIV event where he just has a handful of people watching him. I mean, the emotion, the adrenaline that they get out of that, the adulation. I mean, it has to be such a letdown for these players to go back to LIV and deal with. Now, it wouldn't be bad on the 15th and the 30th when they get paid. Right. Yeah. But, dealing with the fans or lack thereof would be tough.
Well, and here's the other part of this. From their standpoint, people are actually paying money to be at the Masters, big money to be at the Masters. I don't think LIV sells any tickets. I think they give away every ticket that they give that people have.
It's an exhibition too.
It is, yeah.
I mean, there's no cuts.
I watched it on TV. I know you have. I've watched it on TV. If you want to be on the front of the ropes to see really good golfers, you can.
Can you follow the team format?
No.
I find that a little tough. I think that's one thing that they would take from Live, though, and try to make it for the PGA Tour and do some type of team format.
And they're doing that. Tiger just finished off his team by adding Max Homa, right? But it's going to be an exhibition. It's going to be in February.
Right.
So it's not going to be a big deal. Coming up next year on 101 ESPN, we've got the Rush Hour Reset. We've got, I think, a few mic drops to get to, don't we, Matthew? Yeah, and some texts about what's going on with the Cardinals next on 101 ESPN. If you're a home seller, I have good news for you. The market is still in your favor. However, there is going to be a time where selling your home is not going to provide you the big oomph that you can get right now. Gloria Lou says you can't time the market, but you can sell your home in the best months, and we are in the sweet spot. And if you want to sell your home, Gloria Lou's the only person to call. Her number is 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888. And Gloria's name is her promise and says it all. She has solutions for every kind of home seller. If you want a fast sale with no hassles, well, Gloria's got a 24-hour cash offer solution. Here's what you should get from that. You don't have to show your home. There aren't any costly repairs that you have to do to your home. And you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers and what she calls her cash offer bid box. Gloria's been in business for over 20 years, and she is the best-selling agent in the St. Louis area. Gloria Lou's number, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or find her on the web at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
I hope Mo is happy with this team. I hope DeWitt is so proud to see all the empty seats. It doesn't hurt him at all. He's still making his money. That's all he cares about is the money. Matz should be released, and Hell, he should have been released last year when he didn't prove that he didn't really want to pitch. As far as Ollie is tone deaf to the fans, and I had his back last year. Last year wasn't his fault. This year, the coaching staff is garbage. I mean, what are you going to do with Blake Lively and turncoat Ward? So
that's Aaron.
What a hot take that was.
Strongly worded mic drop here on 101 ESPN.
Wow. Amazing.
Love Aaron.
Yeah.
So, down on Blake Lively.
Go ahead, Randy. You can respond to the mic drop, unless we have more.
Oh, well, we do have more mic drops, and we do have more texts. People are reasonably and fairly upset after a 14-1 loss to Arizona last night. The Cardinals are in last place. They're 5 games out of first in their division. And it does look, at least from a one-loss perspective, like it did last year. Now, are you losing because of different reasons? Yes, but last year the pitching was horrendous in the early going, and the Cardinals had their excuse, right? It was the World Baseball Classic. This year, the offense isn't there. We haven't heard the excuses yet, but the record is the same, and you have to be concerned. I know the Cardinals say it's early, and the players say it's early, and it is early. But are we getting indications that this is going to turn around and be better? That's the question that I have. I'm not seeing any indications. Gorman hit the home run the other night. Okay, good. Am I seeing things that I like from Jordan Walker? Not really. I'm not loving it. I need to get more production from my outfield. I just need more runs.
I think that it's the sense of urgency that a lot of people have frustration with, because you have a great game, that walk-off winner where everything was just working for the Cardinals in that game the other night, and then you aren't able to carry that momentum into the game we saw last night where it felt like 2023 all over again. And it is early, and it is a process, but I think the sense of urgency is the biggest issue here, and sometimes that's what you don't feel, and I think that's what fans are feeling currently.
Okay, I want to ask you guys, I took logic at Lindenwood. Did you have a logic class at Lindenwood, Danny?
Probably.
Okay. So,
like I'd remember.
Okay. Yeah, right. How do the Cardinals make money at Ballpark Village?
By winning and getting fans in there?
By getting fans in there. How do you get fans to Ballpark Village?
Winning.
Getting them into the ballpark, right? So if all you care about is money, and you're sitting in Cincinnati and you're Bill DeWitt Jr. and you're seeing empty stands, how are you proud and happy that no fans are in the stands? Not none, but fans aren't in the stands and they aren't going to Ballpark Village. How do you, and you're, by the way, you've got the 9th highest payroll in baseball. I'm having trouble reconciling that.
Of course, and I think that's fans showing their frustrations. This is something that, of course, comes from last season, but I think that a lot of fans have felt like this is something that's been growing over the past few years, some of their frustrations coming to light, and what you had last year was the culmination of that. And then you have people who are still hesitant. I think people are in their wait-and-see mode. Maybe the fans are practicing patience right now because they're waiting to see what exactly this team will look like before they fully buy back in. And I know that there's tickets sold. We see that where it's 30,000. You look during the games, it doesn't look like 30,000 people. And I don't know what it looked like when the game was 10-1, but I think a lot of people turned off their TVs, and I think a lot of people exited the game early after that last night.
I think Brooke is right. It's wait and see. Mm-hmm. You know, after last year, and it was such a frustrating year, and the manner in which they lost games. I mean, getting blown out. My concern would be, and I've mentioned this a couple of times this morning, is just the momentum. Momentum can be good and bad. The momentum of a couple of losses that they've had, I mean, that's a problem when you did that on Saturday and you had the game like last night where fans are like, uh-oh, here we go again. And I understand that. I also understand it is early, whether fans want to hear that or not, but there's concerns with the team. And until they turn it around, then I think fans buy in. So that is, I think, a true statement by Brooke. I think a lot of fans are kind of just wait and see right now.
30 teams in Major League Baseball, and only 6 have a worse record than the Cardinals. Let's hear from Jason on 101 ESPN.
The 14 runs didn't really affect me one way or the other. It's unfortunate, but that happens from time to time. And all in all, the pitching staff has been pretty good this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He kind of sounded like Derek Gould a little bit. I don't know why, but he kind of sounded like Derek Gould a little bit.
He did.
You know, with the cadence and just the tone of his voice. Derek, are you
Thanks
hiding?
for the mic drop, Derek.
Let's get one from John as well on 101 ESPN.
Last night, Oliver Marmol told us that the Diamondbacks hit left-handers really well. What I would like someone to explain to me is, why did he bring in Thompson to replace Matz if they hit left-handers really well? Does that make sense to anyone?
I think he felt that potentially the game could get out of reach.
It was out of reach. I think that's why Thompson was in there.
Exactly, and that's why he went in that direction. And I think, with the offense not clicking at this point, you have to have a realistic viewpoint if you're the manager and say, I'm not sure we're getting back in this game. And with a day game coming tomorrow, meaning today, do I want to burn through guys in my pen? And we talk about it all the time. You manage to win the game, but you also manage with an eye towards tomorrow and the next day. The Diamondbacks are an interesting team. They're 12-13 this year with a run differential of plus 39. It's the second best run differential through 25 games in Major League history for a team with a losing record.
Wow.
So they're not nearly as bad as their record may indicate. And I'm not giving the Cardinals any excuses. I just thought that's interesting looking at how the Diamondbacks have started their season.
Coming up, we had a chance yesterday to talk to Kyle Gibson, who's getting the start today. And Gibby will be with us next here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Coverage of 101 ESPN is presented by Under Law Injury Lawyers. GetJim.com.
This Saturday from 11 to 3, Golf Discount of St. Louis, South County presents the largest free public golf demo days in St. Louis. Put the best to the test and see what club is right for you. Manufacturer reps from over 8 vendors will be in attendance with all of their 2024 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, irons, and wedges. Check out items from Callaway, Cobra, Cleveland, Mizuno, Ping, Strixon, TaylorMade, and more. It's Saturday from 11 to 3 at the First Tee Driving Range in South County. It's Demo Days, brought to you by Golf Discount of St. Louis. Hey, with the weather turning nice in St. Louis, it's a great time to set up for outdoor cooking and outdoor eating. And you need to start by going to Schnucks. You know what I love to do is to go and get some of those delicious fresh vegetables at Schnucks. Get some broccoli, get a few Brussels sprouts, maybe get some peppers and roast those vegetables. Get some olive oil and some salt and pepper, roast those vegetables on the grill. You get those in the produce department at Schnucks. You have to stop by their best bakery in town and maybe get some of their delicious cookies, maybe a cookie cake for dessert. Head on back to the butcher or the seafood shop, maybe some delicious swordfish or a great ribeye or New York strip from the best butcher in town at Schnucks. You can get everything you need for a beautiful outdoor meal tonight by stopping at Schnucks. And before you go, download the Schnucks Rewards app. It'll do a couple of things. Number one, it'll give you a discount. And number two, the Schnucks Rewards app will actually take you through the store. You can put a list together, and it will take you on a trip through the store that'll be the most efficient shopping trip that you can have. I'm a big fan of outdoor dining, and I'm a big fan of outdoor grilling, and you should be too, and you should start by going to Schnucks.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke and Randy with you, and joining us is Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson, who pitches today in the finale against the Diamondbacks. Kyle, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, y'all. How are you guys doing?
Good. Is there a difference for you, Kyle, pitching in a day game versus a night game?
Not really. I think as it gets warmer in the summer, there's probably a little difference, just in the heat of the middle of the day. But I think early in the season, it can be kind of nice because you get probably loose a little bit earlier, a little bit quicker. But I think, yes, as the heat gets a little warmer in places, it changes things.
So does your preparation change based off the temperature?
No, not like, I wouldn't say, the pregame work. Sometimes it can take a little bit less time to get loose, but inside my stuff stays the same. And then when I get outside, sometimes I just have to shorten it up a little bit just because I'm able to get loose faster. But you definitely have to be more aware of drinking more fluids and staying hydrated. Not only during the game but the day before.
Kyle, I want to go back to Monday's exciting come-from-behind victory. Of course, Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Gorman hitting clutch home runs. Of course, for Gorman, that walk-off winner, first of his career. Just talk about that moment, because that was just so exciting and thrilling to see, especially for an offense that's been scuffling.
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about in the locker room, and I'm sure people in the media and fans really get tired of it. But, we really do know that this is a good offense, and we're really not worried about the offense coming through and doing what they need to do. Sometimes it looks obviously a lot worse when you have, multiple of your hitters that are very good hitters and they might be struggling. And then it obviously, as that hitter feels too, it feels like they're always the one coming up in the big spot, and it's just not working out. But, for Goldie and Gorman to do that on Monday, man, they really clicked. We were rewatching that swing of Goldie's on the iPad multiple times. They're just innings later because it was just, vintage Goldie going to right center and hitting it deep up into the bleachers. But and then Gorman, what a swing by him, to go up there against a tough lefty and be looking for his pitch. And that's something that I've seen Gorman do. When he gets his pitch, he puts good swings and doesn't miss it.
I want to go back to Goldie for a second because you've faced him pretty much. When he is on, he seems, from a fan's perspective, to be like he's almost impossible to get out. Is that the case when you're pitching to him?
That can be the feeling, that's for sure. Especially when he's going good and clicking, because one thing that he does really well is he knows his strengths, obviously, with his long career, but he very rarely gets off his strengths, I feel like, as a pitcher, right? Maybe he would say something different, but when I'm facing him, I feel like no matter how much I do work in one location, I feel like that should open up inside or outside, and it just doesn't most of the time. I feel like I've had him set up in my head. I've had him set up for a sinker inside, and every time he just pulls his hands in and hits a line drive to left field. And it's just like, that's just something he does really well. So when he's clicking, he takes advantage of pitchers' mistakes really, really well. And we're going to make mistakes. That's the thing. That's why sticking to your strengths is something veteran hitters do really well, because at some point a pitcher is going to make a mistake. And if you stay on your strength, then you're going to be ready for it.
Kyle Gibson with us on 101 ESPN. And Kyle, I want to go back to preparation. Here's how long I've been in this business. I interviewed Nolan Ryan one time, a long interview about warming up. He had a video out about how to warm up properly, and he was bothered by young pitchers that he saw that didn't warm up properly. You've been around a while. What are the keys for any athlete, but especially if a young pitcher is listening right now? What are your keys to warming up properly?
Oh, wow. I think one thing that really intrigues me about baseball is how people go about what they do differently. I love watching people throw bullpens and do that and even warm up because it's just cool to see how people do it differently. I never knew that Adam Wainwright didn't throw on the field until he did that, Fox interview pregame, and he just goes straight to the bullpen and plays catch. That blew my mind because I couldn't even fathom not playing catch in the outfield before going to the mound. But I was a guy early in my career that threw a lot of pitches off the mound. And without even realizing it, I would throw 45, 50 pitches sometimes. And I was always throwing at a high intensity. And I want to say it was sometime in 2017 or so. I was just really tired in the third, fourth, fifth inning. And our bullpen coach said, "Hey, do you realize how many pitches you threw warming up today?" I said, "No, I don't know, 30. He goes, "No, you threw like 52. So at pitch 52 in the game, I was essentially at pitch 100 already. And that's kind of when I realized, all right, what am I doing down here in the bullpen? I'm warming up. So let's do what I need to do to warm up. I'm not honing in pitches. At this point, it's probably too late. I am warming up for the game. So I now cut my warm-up down by a lot. I throw 24, 25 pitches, and that's it. So I think it's important for kids and college players or professionals to realize, like, you're warming up. That's the name of the game here. Let's get our arm loose. Let's get our body loose for the game. Let's not wear ourselves out before we get there.
Kyle, how much confidence do you and the other starters have right now with the bullpen that's able to come in right after you guys and what they're able to do here lately?
Our bullpen is so deep right now. It's really, really good. I think bullpen is one of those things that I know we were kind of joking here before we started talking about maybe people behind the scenes, but bullpenner is one of that group of people that when they do their job, nobody really wants to talk to them, and then we wait until they don't do their job to talk to them in the media. So they just kind of like these unsung heroes, and then they take the fall a lot. It's not fair, really, but a good bullpen is a group of people that they do their business so quietly, and then you see it in a big spot where, like, man, that bullpen did a good job tonight. And then you look back, oh wow, for 2 weeks here they'd given up 4 runs. That's the kind of bullpen we have, and I think we've seen people like Fernandez step up in big spots, and he's somebody that is going to contribute big innings, and sometimes in leverage spots where people might not expect it. And it's because just the growth process of these guys has been really, really good. And I think when we get Middleton back and we're fully healthy, we were talking about this about a week ago. I think we almost have 6 to 7 guys where we can say, hey, tonight we've got our 1A squad going to go the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, however much we need. And then tomorrow we're going to go the 1B squad, and you guys got the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And, this is how it's a luxury to have that many guys that you trust in the late innings.
Kyle, I clamored for a guy like Kittredge throughout the offseason because I think it's so important down there with all the pressure that are on relief pitchers to have a guy that's been around the block. And he seems to be that kind of guy where if there is a young reliever that maybe is just finding his way, Kittredge seems to be a guy to lean on for advice.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Danny Coulomb and what Danny Coulomb brought to the Baltimore bullpen last year. Just somebody who, like you said, has a lot of experience. He's done it with Tampa Bay in big spots for many years. He's gone through an injury now, and I know that's not something that we want to pound our chest about, but going through adversity and going through something like that gives you an ability to even speak to that type of that side of things. Even if it's somebody who comes up with an arm that's barking a little bit, and maybe you can help him through that. It's big to have that type of experience down there, and to go with Helsley and Gio, all these guys that have now been around for a few years or for 4 or 5 years. It's a big thing to have down there. And when Middleton's back, he's going to bring even more of it as well. There's down there in the bullpen, it's got to be almost a no panic zone, because you're going to be coming into the fire a lot. And if you're coming into the fire and you're running around like your hair's already on fire, that's kind of an issue. So it's got to be kind of a calming, no panic down there.
I don't know if you've ever heard this one, but when Adam took over as the closer entering the 2006 postseason, Jason Isringhausen gave him the most simple piece of advice ever: don't forget to breathe. And it sounds simple, but it's pretty important, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing what, if people are listening, you've heard, breathing specialists, however they're called, but you take 5 deep breaths, it's amazing how much more relaxed you feel. And it's easy to be out there, and I've done it, right? You're out there and you just naturally tense. Maybe your elbows are sticking to your side, your hand is naturally in a fist, you're squeezing the ball in your hand, your glove, whatever it is. It's easy to be tense because a lot of these moments get tense. They get, they get intense, and it's easy to forget to breathe and relax out there.
Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on this because we were discussing this the other day, and I would love to have a player's perspective. The balanced schedule, what are your thoughts on it? What are you hearing from other guys around the league as well?
I like it. I think it's important as you expand playoffs as we did. I think it's important that if you're going to have possibly 4 teams from one division be in the playoffs, it needs to be as even of a schedule as possible so that, the teams that are in other divisions can fairly compete against those teams. That's really, to me, what it boils down to. If you just have division winners and 1 wild card, I don't think it's as important because winning the division is premium. But as you've now expanded to 3 wild cards, you want to have everybody playing as close to the same schedule as possible. And I think that it should account for home and road. So I think there's more that we can do there to make it more even. But on the player side, I think that's important. On the fan side, I think it's awesome because, you get to watch your team play everybody. Maybe it's not at your home place every time, but you get to watch your team play everybody every year. So you're never missing out on some of the biggest stars of the game. And I think that's important. And I hope that fans see that side of it and really enjoy it.
We're going to talk about what's going on at bigleagueimpact.org in 1 second, but one other baseball question for you. And Kyle, as you probably note, especially with social media, there is negativity surrounding every sports team that gets off to a rough start or a not as expected start. And there are some people that are inherently positive. I think Brooke and I generally are inherently positive. But you can give us a clear-cut example because 2 years ago, you were with the Phillies. And I know you had the managerial change, but there were other things that led to that team that didn't get off to a good start going to the World Series. But the point being that it is a long season, right? And players understand that.
Yeah, that's really kind of you to say that we didn't get off to a good start because I would say we got off to a terrible start. That was a befuddling case for us because we were trying to really figure it out. But I think it's in these situations, context is very important, and how you've gotten to where you've gotten is really important. And, remembering it's 162, yes. But I think everybody would agree that around a 90-win team, you're either a guaranteed lock in the playoffs or you're fighting for that last spot, or you're normally fighting for a division. Well, to go 90-72, 18 games over 500, you need each month to be about 3 games over 500. That if you asked everybody if your team is going to go 17-14 in a month, you're like, oh, I guess. I mean, it's kind of good. But if you do that 6 months in a row, you're going to win 90 games. Like, I know that kind of sounds, maybe a little out of touch, but that really is what it is. It's about winning 2 out of 3 as much as possible. It's about, being 500 on the road when you can be and win your games at home. And I don't think anybody would expect the Brewers to go 14-6 for 20 games. Now, if they do, they're going to be hard to beat because going 14-6 for 20 games is really tough to do. But I think that's probably why, maybe fans get tired of the player reaction and stuff like that, is because you really can't panic. You can't, if you believe in your process and you believe in your team and that in our squad, in our locker room, then we have to do what we're doing. We have to stay on the process and keep playing good baseball, because even though we've lost really close games, we've played pretty good baseball for the most part. I think we were the last team to make an error, maybe. We haven't really beat ourselves very often, and we've only had a few big innings, one I'm responsible for, that have really kind of gotten the game out of hand. And I know that probably doesn't help out a whole lot, but I think for players in that locker room, it really reminds us that, we're a couple innings here or there, a couple games here or there from being, 4 games over 500 and right where we want to be.
One of the events that we love is Swinging for Impact with Big League Impact, and that's going to happen May 19th at the Chesterfield Top Golf, and I know that some of your teammates are coming out. It's always a fun time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And one thing I was hearing from somebody yesterday was that, Cardinal Top Golf events and Cardinal territory are different, right? We didn't really have too many alumni at the last event in Baltimore, but I've heard that, alumni come out to this event as well and make it even more special. So we're going to have some Cardinals alumni as well. I'm looking forward to talk to and meeting some of them. But, there's going to be at least 8 to 10, maybe more Cardinals players out there, and raising money for Big League Impact and raising money for other charities around the St. Louis area, but then around the country that Big League Impact does work with. So I think it's always a special event. You guys know that. But I think if Cardinals fans have enjoyed it in the past, come back out and let's have some fun. If you've never been there, go to bigleagueimpact.org and check it out, because, if Top Golf for me is like bowling, right? You don't have to be good at golf to go to Top Golf, because you don't have to be good at bowling to go bowling. You just go out and swing a club and eat some food and have some fun.
It will be a great time, May 19th, and you can get more information at bigleagueimpact.org. Kyle, thanks so much for the time, and go get them against the Diamondbacks today, and hopefully the Cardinals can come away with another victory.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. That is Kyle Gibson. And again, you can go to bigleagueimpact.org if you want to hang with the Cardinals at Swinging for Impact at Chesterfield's Top Golf on May 19th. And we will be there as the MCs of that fine event. Coming up, do you have any confidence, any optimism about the Cardinals? We want you to text us, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO, as we head down the stretch here on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City, and we absolutely love it, but we never really liked our main bathroom. So we decided it was time for a big change, and we reached out to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is EMB Granite. EMB Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with a vision of how to really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with EMB Granite was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all of their different cabinet options. My favorite part, of course, was picking out not only just how to design the bathroom, but the colors, of course, too. Jen was the one who has been working with us, and she has been fantastic. I don't know how to design anything, and she came up with so many great ideas that fit within our budget. And that's what they've been doing there at EMB Granite for over 20 years, turning visions into realities. So go and schedule your free consultation by calling this number, 314-645-9300, or go online to embgranite.com, or stop by their showroom today and mention that I sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday trounced by the Diamondbacks 14-1. They'll try to salvage this series with a win with a 12-15 game today against the Diamondbacks. It'll be the former Cardinal lefty Jordan Montgomery facing off against Kyle Gibson. Gibson on the season 1-2 with a 5.04 ERA. Montgomery through his one start, 6 innings pitched, 6 innings pitched, 1 win, and a 1.5 ERA. Also, if you want to hear our interview with Kyle Gibson before it starts today, you can go back to Dobbs Tire Auto Center's podcast and listen to that interview as well as all our other interviews. And last night in the NBA playoffs, the Suns are struggling. They fall 105-93 to the T-Wolves. They're down 2-0 in that series, and then there's two other series that are knotted up at one game apiece. Pacers 125 over the Bucks 108, and the Mavs over the Clippers 96-93. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Text from the 314. Only confidence that I have about the Cardinals is that I see a lot of fan base money not being made, and it makes me understand why the DeWitts are begging for $600 million for Busch renovations. I have not seen that story. I have not heard that. So if you could give us a little bit of info, a little insight into the DeWitts begging for $600 million, I would like to see that story.
I think they're basing this off the Riverfront Times article, which there's more to just the headline of that story, because I believe, based off what I was able to read there, they aren't even asking for that. There's nothing confirmed in that, and that's even within the story.
But Brooke, the text said they're begging for $600 million.
Oh, somehow I missed that, of them just standing outside with the collection bucket.
Okay.
I also love
outside of Busch Stadium.
In the wide conjecture, and then let's just grab headlines and then throw them back out there as our opinions. They didn't even get the number right. The headline was 500. Like we're just pulling things out of thin air.
But Rocc, you read the article. That's what basically is going on there.
Yeah, I mean they had Bill DeWitt III is quoted in there, the actual source of the article, and he pretty much says, like, I can't be asking for $500 million because I don't know what we need right now in the way of like the actual finances of the potential upgrades. I don't think they even have like a slideshow of what the upgrades would be right now. So I mean, it's a pretty far away thing, and so it was the headline was a grabber. But if you actually the actual source in the article, the headlines putting the cart before the horse.
Ooh. I am already
how
coming
I
up
put
with
it.
an early sick of it for tomorrow.
Headlines putting the cart before the horse?
No, or just reacting to headlines of stories without reading the full story. Why have we gotten to this point as a society?
Because, I mean, we're lazy when it comes to reading stuff. I mean, headlines have always been a thing. There's nothing wrong with a headline writer saying, here's the story, come read it. It's they only got so much space to bring our eyes in.
But I'm saying, haven't you noticed that there's a lot more people who just react to headlines without even opening the story anymore?
Oh, that happens?
Yes.
Okay. This text from the 618. I wish I could say, yes, I'm confident, but I still think we're the third best team in the division, and maybe fourth. When I texted in and said that their failure to improve the team around Goldie and Arenado and that we would lose 90 games again this year and Ollie and Mo will be gone, I almost got laughed off the air. I'm not looking so incorrect yet. Congratulations on being correct.
I think the thing that is concerning for me, and I like the bullpen. I think the starters will have their bumps in the road like yesterday and like on Saturday, and then you'll get another timeout, and all of a sudden Steven Matz gives you your 5 or 6 innings, and Michaelis will do the same. But the lack of offense,
yes.
I just didn't see this coming. I thought the offense would be better. I did mention earlier in the year that they were 19th or 20th in total offense last year. But I did anticipate Goldie with a bounce back. I did anticipate Arenado with a bounce back. A healthy Brendan Ryan, who's hovering around 200. He's
Donovan.
Brendan Donovan, and he's 2 for his last 20 on the homestand. Yeah, I just didn't see that coming.
And I think it's reasonable to ask, and you guys can join with me here, is Paul Goldschmidt a bad offensive player?
No.
Is Brendan Donovan?
No.
Is Contreras?
No.
Is Arenado?
No.
Is Mason Wynn? We have seen that. Is Nootbaar?
By the way, he's exceeded my expectation. Mason Wynn.
Yeah,
yes,
me too.
He has.
Nootbaar is he's not great, but he's not terrible. Jordan Walker shouldn't be this bad, right? So you have and Gorman hit 27 home runs last year. You should have 8 of your 9 hitters, if they're going, be reasonably good. The problem is that you've got good hitters that aren't hitting,
and the
average to good hitters that aren't hitting.
And I would say, too, going into the season was that they anticipated games in which they're going to allow, let's say, 3 to 5 runs, but would be able to outslug some of these teams. Yeah. And that just hasn't happened.
Yeah, the home runs have not, for whatever reason. What do you think that even is? The home runs just not working out. Home runs not working out for the Cardinals this year so far.
Well, they're hitting 200.
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys are hitting 200. Guys are hitting 180, 170. You know, they're just not hitting across the board, whether it's home runs or driving the baseball. They're at the bottom 5 of a lot of offensive categories, not just in the National League, but in all of baseball. So, to me, it's just they're not hitting, period.
Runners
and
in scoring position.
Yeah,
goes back
that's
to
a
hitting.
real big problem.
Yes.
And it's all come at the same time. Normally, if you have a player that's not hitting, it can get overlooked because the other guys are picking you up. You get out of your slump, all of a sudden you get back to where you were, and we're not seeing that right now. Collectively as a group, they're just not hitting, period.
It's like what we were talking about earlier with Aaron Judge. Not off to a great start, but the Yankees are, and so then it kind of gets buried a little bit in that, other than the fans booing him the other day.
Right.
But you know Aaron Judge is not going to, what we're going to see at the end is not going to be indicative of what we're seeing here in April.
Better not be. And if it is, it's going to be a really long year.
Yeah, and hopefully the Cardinals, some years, you're just not good. And you can have a year where everybody has the ability to be good, but they just aren't. And that's happened to the Cardinals before. Happened kind of in 2003. Definitely happened in 1985. The Cardinals led the league in runs. 1986, Jack Clark got hurt, and they were terrible before Clark got hurt. They were terrible. The next year, they led the league in runs again. Same group of guys, and sometimes you just have those years. Hopefully, this is a year where once the weather gets warm, they'll get rolling. I'm not predicting that, but hopefully that would be the case.
We got a text here, and I want to hear your guys' reaction to it because we get this narrative a lot, and I don't agree with it personally. I think it just comes down to that we're only trying to hit home runs, and that's why the offense sucks. I'm not seeing that as the issue with this team at all.
I see guys pressing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
white knuckles.
Yeah, I mean, it's collectively guys pressing, and they even indicated that after the game on Sunday. You know, if you read between the lines on some of the post-game comments, you know, guys are talking about, without saying they're pressing. And I think some of that is happening right now.
Yep. Coming up next, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're looking for a great lunch day, great place to watch the Cardinal game this afternoon, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill at Rudder Road in Fenton. It's 2 minutes from the soccer park. If you just go to the soccer park, you can follow Rudder Road to the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have an absolutely magnificent patio. What a great day today will be out on the patio. You can go watch the game there, have a great wrap or sandwich or burger or salad, and you'll really enjoy the atmosphere and the people over at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Alicia will be over there today. Stop by and say hi to Kelly or Megan and the whole crew, and enjoy the other people that are going to be there. They're sports fans like you. They're going to be talking sports, and you're going to have a great time. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you. You can see their whole menu. You can see everything about Fenton Bar and Grill at FentonBarandGrill.com. And as you go through the weekend, if you got a big crew that you want to take over to the Fenton Bar and Grill, just call ahead, and they'll take care of you. Great place to go for lunch, maybe after golf, maybe for a happy hour or dinner. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road. When you go, tell them Randy sent you.
I want to rock! And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
All right, it's time for Rock and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Matthew, what do you got for us?
We got a really short rock and roll today, so I'm gonna pull a little niche topic here that I wanted to talk about the last couple of rock and rolls, but we had other stuff to mention. So, and it worked out today perfectly because we had a fight. Hall of Famer. Dan entered the Fight Hall of Fame. And obviously the fight's a lot of fun. I love sports trivia. And one of the reasons I love sports trivia is because every day when I went home from school, when I was a little kid, and after I turned about 12, we got cable, would turn on ESPN. And my sports fandom was, I'm not over exaggerating here, like awoken by Stump the Schwab on ESPN. Howie Schwab passed away over the weekend, and a lot of ESPN people gave some really beautiful eulogies. And the fact that we do trivia, and I have to go searching for trivia questions every day, I think about that show, Stump the Schwab, almost every single day that I go to do my job. And 2000s ESPN just molded me as a person in so many ways. NFL Network, I watched a ton of that too. But man, Stump the Schwab was the best, and getting to do trivia, that's what makes sports trivia is just so much fun. I know some people don't like it, but we do it on this show every day. And so there was just one thing I just wanted to get out there because I'm not here if Stump the Schwab isn't a thing. And I had no idea until I read these eulogies how important Howie Schwab was to the actual creation of ESPN as what it is now, which is they were doing the trivia show because he was the one who had ESPN create their research department, which is insane to me. I had no idea that was a thing. And so to take the fun part of trivia and to give us honestly one of the best outlets for sports information over the last 30 years, which has been ESPN Sports and Information and all the stats they put out. I mean, the guy's mark on sports information and sports media will be forever.
He was the GOAT, sports trivia GOAT, no doubt about it.
Oh, I think Dave Strauss was Mr. Trivia at KMOX.
Sports trivia GOAT.
I'm saying sports trivia GOAT too. He was pretty damn good at that too.
He was really good.
So what we're talking about, Randy and I worked with a guy. This is pre-internet, and he'd come in with a stack of books about a foot and a half high, and if he didn't know the answer, he'd go to the books. But you'd be producing for him. And literally there was 10 lines that people could call in. It would be packed from the beginning of his hour to the very end, and he would fly through the trivia questions. And he was called Mr. Trivia. Yep. Rarely did he go to the books, Brooke,
Yeah.
And Matthew, but he knew everything. It was one of the most amazing things I have ever, and I mean this sincerely, I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
He was amazing. Mr. Trivia.
Yep.
People with encyclopedic knowledge is like, you'll meet those people in life and they never cease to amaze me, because
I guess he had a photographic memory. He had to have.
I had a teacher like that too. You like in high school, you ask him literally any piece of information about American history. It was just like he had a register in his brain where it was just like going through the files. And that's kind of what people with eidetic memory say they can do. It's like they go into their brain and they just open a file, and then it's everything they have ever seen about that topic, and they can just rattle it off their brain. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing.
We're sitting with one here in the studio.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
I mean, come on now.
Perfect
you just go in your
recall.
little file cabinet up in
that's
the
kind
mind.
of what it is. Yeah.
Do you have a photographic memory about sports?
Yeah. Do you guys remember the slide projectors? Did you guys have those in school?
Yeah.
Where it was like a donut shaped thing, and then a slide would pop up. That's what I liken it to. Is it just kind of spins around, and then just the picture then eventually will just pop up for you.
So do you read a lot, or is it from you watching?
Oh, totally reading a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or making it up.
Oh, sporting news.
Everything. When I was
Making it
kid,
up.
we thanks, Brooke.
SI.
Sporting News, Sports Illustrated, Sport Magazine, Baseball Digest, Football Digest. There were 8 or 9 of them. There was Inside Sports. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
There were, and then morning and afternoon newspapers. The Globe in the morning, the Post in the afternoon. So yeah, a lot of reading. And then I would go get go up to World News. There was a World News at Westport, and get the Boston Globe on Sunday with Peter
Gammons in the notes.
It was Gammons and Will McDonough. I mean, it had all of the people with all of the notes. It was pretty cool.
Bob Nightingale does that on USA Today on the web version on Sundays. He's got the MLB notebook. I like reading that. It just keeps you up to date with certain things.
I miss that aspect of things. I mean, we talked about ESPN, even on TV, some of the personalities, the big journalists that I grew up watching, and you guys, of course, got to know well as well. Just those guys leaving the organization, and then you have writers. It seems like just everything is changing so much. Sports Illustrated, we've seen how that's changing. I hate seeing all that happening.
I do too, and we've lost so many people.
Great
Peter Gammons is
writers.
retired.
Yeah.
Chris Mortensen losing an insider and somebody who's as knowledgeable as that. We've lost so many good people over the years too.
R.I.P. Howie Schwab.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank
Great
you.
job today by our producer, audio, video engineer.
Pleasure.
One the only, Matthew Rocchio. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. We like to hear it. Yay!
Yes, we do.
Why did you do the pause? You're just staring into my soul over here.
Trying to. Danny, this was awesome, brother.
Great job as always, Randall and Brooke.
And we thank
Matthew.
you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We've got a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up, and then BK and Ferrario, followed by the Fast Lane. And for all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, have a great hump day, St. Louis.
That's right.
The most important thing in business now is connecting to your clients or customers. And the best way to do that is through social media and through digital. You might not be an expert at that, but we have experts right here in our building here at Hubbard. It's 2060 Digital, and they are experts in the field of social media and in terms of digital. So if you want to get the best connection to your customers, go to 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital, and you can meet with our people and